Content warning. The following programme will contain adult subject matter and language that some people may find offensive. If you are annoyed by things like this is probably not the show for you. For everyone else, here's the AFTN Soccer Show.
Previously on AFTN.
I loved it when Germany had Kuntz playing for them. Although some folk do still feel that Germany have a lot of Kuntz playing for them. But back in the day, Kuntz was always one of my favourite guys.
Well, he helped knock out England in '96 in the Euros.
Oh, yeah, talking of Kuntz. Anyway. Can we play FC Cincinnati every week? That is the burning question that we are going to answer tonight. I think the answer is going to be no, but who knows? Welcome everyone. You are listening to another episode of the AFTN Soccer Show on CITR Radio, 101.9 FM, broadcasting from the unceded Musqueam Territory at the University of beautiful British Columbia. I am Michael McCall.
I am Zachary Adam Eisenheimer.
And I'm Gideon Hill.
And as you may notice, we are missing Steve, the fun pander, this week. He is unfortunately currently serving a 1-week ban for inappropriate behaviour. He said the word fucking last week's show, and as you know, if you say fucking this show, that gives you a 1-week ban. So he's in the naughty corner, he's on the naughty step. We hope he's listening at home and enjoying this. Now, we will warn you right off the bat that this week's show, this month in fact, it's a bit more edgy than usual. Some more biting humour, some language that may offend the more sensitive listeners. You've been warned. We'll mark it not suitable for work, but frankly, if you work somewhere that doesn't like that kind of language, I would argue that your work is not suitable for you. Definitely not suitable for me, so I'm currently unemployed. The big reason that we're having to do this, though, is it's because I've been looking forward to this for a while. Our artists of the month for August are Edinburgh rappers. I know how much Zach loved Mad Hat McGore when we played him non-stop back in the day. So we thought we'll bring you some banging tunes, as I think the young kids say these days, from the Edinburgh hip-hop scene. So we're going to be featuring a lot of that. Parts 2 and 3 tonight, we're going to have a song in each of those parts. So obviously that's going to mean a lot of swearing. There is going to be a lot of fucks in there. You could say there's some more fucks than some of the Whitecaps have shown on the pitch this year. Not yesterday, though, where the lads, most of them anyway, were in battling form. They came from behind, put in a performance to get their first win since May 25th. And as we talked about last week, when you look at the Caps' schedule for the remainder of the season, the Cincinnati game was the one game that stood out that they could probably get a win from. Even then, you couldn't guarantee it, because after 6 minutes in, you're like, this is not going well. 1-0 down by that point, under the cosh, and it was looking bleak again. But they steadied, they fought back to level before half-time, won it late on, having to deal with a bit more pressure at the start of the second half. 3 points aside, what this should do for the team's mental state should be massive. For the first time in a long time, they didn't look resigned to defeat after falling behind. They showed the fighting spirit we saw a couple of months ago, and it was the first win that they've had all season after falling behind after 8 losses and 3 draws. Surely, guys, this is going to be the confidence booster this team has needed. You're not so confident.
Well, I mean, the confidence boost they need. I think it'll bring them confidence. I do. You can't overstate or you can't understate the fact that it was against the worst team in the league.
Yeah.
Right. Like, so, yes.
Found a team that's worse than us.
Yeah, it should help with morale, but does this make them world beaters overnight? No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I think it's hard not to look past the opponent, but if you're the Whitecaps, you have a win, you have 3 points in your back pocket. Yes, you're still 9 points behind the playoff race, but a win's a win. I think getting one on the road as well will help with the next game and Portland next week with confidence. Be able to go to, I guess you wouldn't say tough environment at Nippert Stadium, but a tough environment next week and kind of prepare for that and get acclimated to the tough supporters. But good win nonetheless, and morale will definitely be boosted, as Zach said.
I mean, we've got to be brutally honest. It was, as gutsy as it was, as fighting as it wasn't a good game. And it was against a team that's a bit of a shambles. If anything, it kind of showed you just how far behind the pack both teams actually are.
Did you think the game was terrible?
I didn't enjoy it at all.
Okay.
Yeah, first half. And for a lot of the second, I was kind of had it more on the background, actually. Did you enjoy that?
Well, it was... It was fun to watch players that people that I've known for a long time. I don't know.
Never
to see Darren Maddox and Kendall Waston. I enjoy. And then Kakuta later, Paul Mudakan. So yeah, I don't know. I found it more engaging than some other matches this year. That's for sure.
Well, it was sloppy defending by the Caps for the first goal, failing to clear the ball, tucked away nicely, but that was nothing compared to the sloppy defending by Cincinnati for the Caps equaliser. Fantastic strike by Inbom, I've got to say that, but whoa, absolutely horrible defending by Cincy. What was bigger, Zach? The split in the Whitecaps locker room last season, or the one between Kendall's legs that let that ball go through?
Oh my. Oh, well, I would agree with the majority of the players that the divide in the locker room was not all some people tried to make it out to be.
So you're saying Kendall's legs were wider?
Unfortunately, on this particular play, yes.
It was unfortunately. Obviously, hadn't prayed hard enough this week, but maybe next week he'll come back.
You know that has nothing to do with it.
But he's always saying that's why.
Yeah, he's praying, but I don't think. Well, I can't speak for him, but yeah, I don't think he would be someone who prays for the result.
I was going to speak
for safety
and do a
no injury
voice, but I thought no.
Pray for no injuries, safety, whatever. Sure, but result, I don't see that. So
obviously, God hates Cincinnati, but it was a great strike by Inbom, and where has that been for so much of this year? 3 goals now, but I expected more. That's maybe given us a little bit of a taste of what we can get next year from him.
Is that the open play leader in goal scoring now?
Yeah.
If you include the Cavalry goal, then yes, because Montero is 2 from open play as well. So
yeah. In MLS it's just dire, but great strike.
Yeah, and as MDS has been saying all year, this is kind of a not a transition, but kind of an ease into it for Inbom. He knew he wasn't going to be the standout player this year, but you're kind of seeing now why he's in the fold, why he's brought in as a younger player, a younger DP. A couple times in the game, I noticed his through balls weren't working, but full credit to him. Instead of trying to pick out a teammate off a corner, just take the shot. You never know what's going to happen. That play found itself through, unfortunately for Cincinnati, 2 wide open legs and split him like a bowling pin. But it was still a nice idea from Inbom to take the shot right away.
After that, second half, Cincinnati kind of took it to us a little bit in the opening stages, but kind of held on, had a couple of chances. It kind of, though, the winning goal, it felt like it came from out of nowhere. And I thought it's going to be a 1-1 draw, at least that's something to build on. But, wow, just as everyone wrote it up, Tybert cutting it back to Felipe. I mean, everyone saw that coming. If you had money on who was going to score the winner, it would have been that combination. It was a nice finish, and I'm pleased, for Tybert getting the assist, but for Felipe in particular, sweeping that ball home, hopefully that's going to do really good for him.
Yeah, I mean, I like Felipe. I like Felipe, and I know that people at the beginning of the year were nice to him because of how last year ended and how he expressed his concern about things from the previous season. So people were. It
didn't last long. A lot. It did.
Yeah, exactly. It didn't last long. So I super happy for him, because I think especially these last couple of games he's put in a lot of hard work in these last couple of games, and I think it showed. The team's gotten results, and it was kind of a nice reward for him in getting the goal.
Yeah, and for a team that's been in a tough patch the last little bit, and your guys like Reyna and the gone Venuto maybe not producing, it's nice to see hardworking guys like Tybert, Felipe, who maybe don't get the credit for goal scoring to be able to get on the end of that, and the will from Tybert to get to the byline cut it back.
Did you guys see? I forget where it was or who said it or whatever, but I saw someone make some smart aleck comment that was just like, even on his assist for the goal, Russell Tybert passed backwards.
Oh, I did not see that, but that is genius. Whoever said that, well done. It was a Christmas tree formation again, and again the midfield looked better than it's looked for weeks. The last two games with this 4-3-2-1, it seems to suit at least this midfield three of Wong, Felipe, and Tybert.
Yeah, and the Christmas tree. I'm sure you're gonna be happy to note that they were, generous with their gift giving and gave away the opening goal. But no, I think when you look at the game as a whole, I think you're right. I think that there was some cohesion between those three in midfield in terms of creating a more solid, especially defensive kind of grouping.
And I think it helps having Cornelius and Godoy back there. Godoy, again, not very confident in the ball as we've seen the past couple of games, but those kind of players that like to pass out of the back to have an outlet rather than just bombing it upfield, where we've seen in games past to the forwards in this case.
I do wonder if Godoy's a bit tired now.
Well, yeah, he's played.
He was ever present.
Yeah,
and then he's started to dip a little bit now. We talked about it on last week's show how Cavalry had told us, look, we see him actually as the weak link, so we're targeting him. And he's been struggling the last couple of games. I don't know, maybe his confidence has been knocked as well.
I don't know if it helps coming in, not starting against Minnesota, then having to come in for Daniel Henry was injured, so obviously not easy to be thrown into that situation. But
Steve, who's listening live, says that the back pass tweet was from JJ.
Oh, friend of the show. Who will not like the swearing. He'll be clutching his pearls. He's not a big fan of swearing.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Surprising, because he swears like a trooper at training. But it was on the whole, a good defensive performance. The midfield looked better. That attack, though, like, talking of tired, Theo Bair looked tired, and Marty Santos referenced that after the match. Freddie Montero looked frustrated, felt like he had to do it all himself. Gideon wasn't happy with him during the game, had sent me a message. And Joaquin Adiez apparently was starting. And on that pitch, I didn't notice him until he got subbed off. Yeah. He was invisible.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Okay. So in one sense, yes, I agree with you. He did not have a good performance. He did not look good. You have to at least partially question the service, and I don't think there wasn't a lot for him to work with.
No.
But at the same time, he didn't go out of his way to make his presence known in the game.
And to be fair, I kind of hold myself responsible for that, because
were you crime fighting the night before?
We've been working on him being incognito and undercover, and I told him off the pitch, but his English still isn't very good, and I just think he misunderstood that.
Yeah, and I mean, it also didn't help that he wasn't set up in his proper, I guess, starting spot, as he is a target striker, quote unquote. But again, he needs to make more of an impact if he's going to be starting as a DP on loan. He needs to make an impact and stake a claim to be in the lineup next year. And didn't do that at all yesterday, to be honest.
But again, that's part of the problem. I don't think his position in the Christmas tree was the problem. I think.
Wait, what's the big fairy up top?
Do you put a okay?
I have fairies on mine.
Oh.
Anyways,
but the thing is, for me, there wasn't anything for him to hold up. Like, really felt like.
Well, that's true, because again, although the midfield played better, we're looking at that from a defensive point of view, because creative-wise, they were still not doing anything.
Yeah, but there was no link-up player between the midfield three and the strikers. Like, Bear was having to drop back so much, and he was going out wide to get the ball, whereas if you have a Reyna or Venuto in this case, they go to the ball and then kind of play it forward. But again, availability issues are something it boils down to.
You really notice no Reyna. Like,
yes.
It's very evident.
Yeah. He wasn't at training on Wednesday, and we were told, he's just having a rest. And then obviously it's an ankle injury. And it was a very interesting lineup at training on Wednesday, which is still a few days before the game and stuff like that. But Venuto was playing in with the starters. So for him then to go the next day, it's like, oh, that was unexpected. But yeah, they were missing Jordi Reyna. They were missing leading offensive scorer Daniil Henry, who... When we asked him how he was doing, he's like, oh, not good, man, not good. It's like he's going for tests. It's really, really painful for him.
So John Herdman knew what he was talking about?
Well, it's not his hamstring, so no, he didn't.
Oh, okay.
I'm glad he's been part of the back four sometimes, though.
Yeah. But, I mean, overall, it was a good performance. It was a good performance, missing some of your key players. And we don't know, will they be back for this next game in Portland? Because... This Portland game, first of all, it's the first season I am not going to have made any Cascadia trips, because I'm not going down to it. You know, Gideon, you're going, are you heading down?
Oh, yeah,
So you two guys are going down. To make up for it, because I'm going to be missing it. I'm going to be missing the atmosphere, being amongst
Dude, you went to Calgary this year.
I know, but I'm going to miss the Timbers fans. So I thought to get me in the mood for the game, I'm just going to play the cantina scene from Star Wars, and I'll just feel that I'm actually at Piggy Park instead. It's one of these games, like today they lost 1-0 to Minnesota, and how that just finished 1-0, I don't know, because both teams had so many chances in that. Brian Fernandez is looking...
He's
so good.
Phenomenal.
Him against this Whitecaps defence. We've talked about, they've turned it around a little bit the last couple of games. This is their test, because this is going to be tough.
If he's able to turn Ike Parra, former MLS Defender of the Year, inside out, it really causes headaches for Godoy and Cornelius. But yeah, he hasn't had to face the Whitecaps yet, so we'll see what kind of damage he does. But
you're still in touch with him now after their defeat today. As Russell Beresford tweeted, the chase is on. These 9 points are nothing. Yes, we've played more games than anyone. Yes, we've only got 9 games left to play. 27 points on the table.
It's one way to look
I've taken my Optimus pills before I came in. At least I think
your
that's
math
what's in the
skills
jar.
too as well. Really.
It was just marked Transcendent, so I was like, oh, it must be.
I was going to say,
good.
You and Beresford are enjoying the sarcasm.
Yeah. Oh, if anyone has tuned in for Transcendence, get this out earlier this week. Yeah, Mike is away for the next couple of weeks, so yeah, listen to us, especially for part 5, because we have got a techno tune coming up in our wavelengths.
Some cracking music on the way.
Yeah,
later.
we'll have the glow sticks and everything. For this game in Portland, do you see us sticking with the 4-2-3-1? It's 4-3-2-1.
4-3-2-1.
I don't know why. Don't know why I just want a 2-man.
Well, you're so used to a 4-2-3-1.
Yeah, with the 4-3-2-1. It's working. I can't see why you would change it.
I think that one of the only reasons you might want to change it is because maybe Portland will be ready for it. That could be one reason, but I think it's hard to go away from something that has gotten you 2 very positive away results. And full credit to MDS on this, right? I think when we first saw it right before the Minnesota game, I think a lot of people were like, "What is going on here?" Like this, just it didn't seem wise. It didn't seem, and I felt even maybe more so after seeing the starting lineup yesterday, and I was just like, okay, so not just the Christmas tree formation, but
the bench.
The bench was horrific.
Not even the bench.
If we had to chase that game, it was bad.
But those 3 guys, like you had the Colombian, you had Ardes, and you had Bear all on the pitch, and I was just like, how are they going to How are they going to defend well? Like it felt like it was set up not well, and I was wrong.
Yeah, I think it's based on availability, and I guess you don't have to shut down Portland right now because they're held scoreless today, but they're still a very dangerous team in their own right. But if you say, Bear's tired and Ardays maybe didn't have the greatest game and Wenger is fit, even if come off the bench at halftime, set him up that way so maybe you are either chasing the game or you're set up to score and then kind of shut up shop later in the game.
Yeah, I mean, they put all their attacking eggs in the starting basket yesterday.
Totally.
I can't see them doing that in Portland. I think of course, we might have some new additions. We're going to look at that in part 2 that might add to that. Quick predictions then from you guys. Are you going to have a fun weekend?
Well, I'm going to have a great weekend.
It's
going to be it's always fun going to Portland. It's always enjoyable.
I was almost tempted.
You should go. There's still time, Michael.
Yeah. It's not the final score, but yeah.
You won't be away from any numbers next weekend.
No, true.
Yeah.
I'm going for a 3-0 Portland win.
Wow. I agree with you. I think that Portland will win and put the nail in the Cascadia Cup attempt for Vancouver this year. I think it's going to be more, though. I think Vancouver's going to get one. But
I think so too.
I think it could. I think it's going to be more than 2-1. I think it could be 3 or possibly even 4-1. Happy to be proven wrong, but I think that's...
You're always optimistic, Gideon.
Yeah, see, I think Portland being shut out today really, if not...
angered them?
Angered them, lit the proverbial fire. But I think it's going to be a 4-1 Portland game. Whitecaps snagging a goal in the second half in about the 70th minute.
I'm channeling Steve. Steve, I believe, thinks we're going to win 2-0. If you disagree, Steve, you can shoot me a text because I know you're listening right now.
Update. Steve says 5-1 to the Timbers.
Oh. His optimism has gone on his vacation. Obviously had
even though the Whitecaps results have skyrocketed these last 6 years.
Well, he's been on a zip line today, so obviously it's all downhill now after that. And he survived, so he was worried about that. So, well done, Steve. I am hoping the goal yesterday is going to have unlocked Felipe a little bit, and we might see the Felipe of old, the Felipe that we saw with all those assists and goals in Montreal and in New York, and even last year, initially he was contributing well to the team. So I'm hoping this is maybe giving him some confidence and giving him some of his superpowers back. I thought with him scoring yesterday, it was probably the ideal opportunity for us to launch one of our new food segments that I've had in my pocket for a while. So this all stems from a misunderstanding when
right.
I asked Felipe what his favourite biscuit or cookie was when we did the chocolate digester section. With my accent, he thought I said cooking and went on a big thing about what he liked to cook.
Right.
So cooking with the caps is gone. So instead, I thought we would go with, what's for lunch, Mum? What do you like to cook?
Mostly, Italian stuff. I really like pasta, try different things, but very plain stuff. I keep it healthy.
That's great. Thank you so much, Felipe.
Thank you.
Oh, what's for lunch? I'm not beans again. Oh, not for lunch. I'm not eating anything but them. Well, why don't we have decent stuff like me? Why not some back pudding, covered in gravy? How about cock over asparagus and black beans, fried eggs and bacon? You're always in a hurry. Oh, what's for lunch? I'm not beans again. Oh, not for lunch. I'm not eating anything but them.
Felipe there. Now, you might think I only played that because I wanted to play that song. Yes, the song was probably 4 times as long as Felipe's answer, but there we go. It's something we are going to look. We'll chat to lots of Whitecaps about what they like to cook, what their healthy lunch options were. Maybe give some of us unhealthy people some tips. Or am I just speaking for myself there? I don't know. But that is it for part 1. We're going to be back in part 2 with a look at the Whitecaps news of the week and some of the big MLS news of the week. And we're going to be back as well with our first song from our Artist of the Month, Edinburgh Rappers. So just remember, when you hear the music next, it might have some little sweary words in. But we'll be back with that after this.
Hi, I'm Mark Dos Santos, and you're listening to the AFTN Soccer Show.
I really like this beat. Yes. What? Listen.
Say the what I say. Oh, Ricky. Send the mail to the gale on the street. Say, ain't the what I say. Oh, Ricky. The road Gorgie.
Just guess who's back where your nephew's dad. Uncle Wardy, the taste you, man. Life's a game of chess, make your best move, man. Can I kick it? Yes, you can. I see the greatest every day, cause my mirror's my direction. Never look past, cause my mirror is reflective. Lyrically attack, but you're lyrically defensive. You'll find out when I die that my spirit is offensive. My brain ain't fine, so come rain or shine. Fuck if you're behind, rearrange your spine. I'm a writer, but no William Shakespeare. I'm just a villain with a creative beer. I see red like I'm staring at a brake light. My rhymes are full of venom like a fucking snake bite. I'm always looking sharp like a fucking steak knife. If their brains pieces are why we hate life.
And say the what I say. Oh, Ricky. Send the mail to the gale on the street. Say, ain't the what I say. Oh, Ricky. The road Gorgie. The reply. And say the what I say. Oh, Ricky.
Old Ricky. Which, if anyone doesn't know what Old Ricky is, that is the name for the city of Edinburgh. Also, the nickname I give my wife because her feet. But that's a whole other story. You are listening to the AFTN Soccer Show on CITR Radio 101.9 FM. It's okay, she's not listening. Broadcasting from the unceded Musqueam Territory at the University of beautiful British Columbia. She's away for the weekend.
Poor Caitlin.
She's left me alone all weekend. She went over to the island to see her dad. So it's just been non-stop football I've had on the TV. It's been fantastic.
Wait, it's not normally like that?
Well, it is normally like that, but I don't feel so guilty this time because she's not here. But that was Leith to Gorgie by Ward, Wardy Burns and Butler from Project Auld Reekie, Volume 2. And Ward and Wardy Burns are two very prominent Edinburgh rappers that will feature a lot this month, along with Mad Hat McGore, who is coming up in Part 3.
Of course.
But now, we're going to go back to some Whitecaps chat. What's that you say? You want some more Edinburgh rap? No, okay, you want some Whitecaps chat. Okay. So, yes, the Whitecaps. The losing run had become a winless run. Now it's become an unbeaten run. I think when there's more than one game, we can say it's unbeaten. I'm going with that. Optimist hat is on. And we might see some new faces in the team this coming week. We've had a renewal this week. We've had a departure. And an all but confirmed addition with some other rumours floating around as well. So let's start with Lucas Venuto. We hardly knew you. He's gone. Released on a free after the Whitecaps paid $100,000 transfer fee for him and gave New York City FC $150 in GAM and gave him quite a high salary. That is not the cost-effective budgetary things that we're used to from the Whitecaps front office. Did they just make a mistake? Has he not worked out? Could there be maybe a little bit more to it that we don't know about?
Well, hey, let's just say it was no Breck Shea, okay? So they've done worse. But you're right. Usually they try and...
He scored goals, so yeah, he was no Breck.
They usually try and hide these kinds of poor valuations.
I believe his family had just joined him, or they were scheduled to join him in July. So I'm assuming they have joined him now. But maybe something happened and they didn't.
In some quarters, I heard that he had a clause, or maybe it was just an agreement with MDS that should a Brazilian club come in for him, that they would mutually...
Yes, maybe. Well, the rumours are Santos is where he's going to end up, which, interestingly, and I don't think anyone's talked about this, also on Santos's books is Costa Rican midfielder Brian Ruiz.
Yeah.
The rumour that will just not go away, that he is coming to the Whitecaps. I don't know that I see that as being a great move at his age on this turf, how MDS wants to play, but the rumour's still out there, so maybe it's a little sweetener to take Ruiz the other way.
The only time the Brian Ruiz rumors ever made sense to me was when Kendall was here, but only because of that. I don't think Brian Ruiz has ever been the type of player that would be good in Vancouver, because they'd have to pay him a considerable amount, but he wouldn't be the draw that they could probably get for what they're going to have to pay him, or what they would have to pay him. And like you said, yeah, I think the turf might be an issue for him, but also he's just not like a very. I've never known him to be. Well, he's just got some creativity, but he's never known to be like a very quick player.
No.
And Vancouver is like they're calling out for some quick attacking players.
We need a midfielder, Gideon, that can stamp his authority in the game. He could probably do that, but I just don't know that attacking-wise and how MDS really wants to play, which we haven't seen this year, obviously with the high press and stuff, that he fits into that at all.
Yeah, we've seen it with some good deliveries for the Tigos in the World Cup and qualifying, but you're looking for a Jordi Reyna-esque player with the kind of pace that can change a game, as you mentioned, put a stamp in the game, whip a ball in, or even score a cracking goal from outside the box, which you've seen from Reyna in the past, but you just kind of need to add on to that. And even push Reyna out wide and maybe get him some more wide play, because we are very limited out there right now. Bare bones, if you will.
Yeah, and one thing, I guess this is as good a time to mention it as any, the season ticket renewals for the Whitecaps went out on August 1st. Which is
the normal date.
Yeah, a get out of jail free card.
Oh, yeah.
Or you can risk-free cancel your season tickets by the end of January. Paraphrasing, the Whitecaps haven't lived up to your expectations and made the big moves that you would want them to make in the summer. So Brian Ruiz is not the kind of name that would get people going, I'm renewing my season ticket, but he would be commanding quite a hefty salary. So whether they've got other things already lined up that they're making this promise, I don't know, or it's a risk or a lot of pressure on MDS because he has to deliver now in this window. He kind of had to anyway, maybe just for his own job, but in general now the expectations have been raised, I think, by this announcement.
Yeah, definitely. But it is also very much a desperation movement, right? And it's also something that shouldn't be super hard for them to back up because they have the money. The money is not the issue; it's the spending and spending it well that's the issue. Not only do they, as an ownership group, have money, but they have the Alphonso Davies money that needs to be used in a meaningful way.
Well, if you listen to Pete Shad on the radio, they've already used it by securing 3 scouts.
Right.
3 of the 4 scouts. Haven't appointed the head of scouting yet, head of recruitment. And they're not going to name who the scouts are.
Which is smart.
Yeah, very smart, because then people won't know who they're going to watch for, etc., etc. We'll name them here, obviously. So number 1...
Steve Pander? I'm just kidding.
Yeah, that's where Steve is, actually.
Ziplining into a field somewhere?
Yeah. It's like spying on the opposition teams. That's the new way of doing it. But some of the money has gone there. Who knows who's coming in? We do know that there's some players linked to the club. First of all, with Lucas Venuto's departure, it opens up some cap space. It opens up an international roster spot. For me, though, I liked him. In that, if I had to choose between Venuto and Bangura, I would choose to keep Venuto. I'd be quite happy to have let them both go at the end of the season.
Yep.
Hopefully Bangura is going to follow. But for me, Venuto was just a bit more consistent. He did produce. And I think he was just kind of starting to find his feet a little bit in this league. And now he's off ski.
Yeah, he was a starter one game. The next game he wasn't. He was coming off the bench. So
the consistency wasn't there, but that might have stuff to do with it.
And he did have a spark. Like, he was an exciting player. I enjoyed him, watching him run down the flank. Defensive game needed a bit of work, but I think you're right. Bangura doesn't provide as much as Venuto does. Bangura comes a little bit back, but if you're thinking about the Houston game back in, I think, March it was, when Bangura had, I think, a goal or 2, then maybe I'd take Bangura, but in this case, Venuto's longevity, and I don't think he's been injured yet either, so he might be an asset to keep, but obviously not anymore.
Yeah, well, one of the rumours that should be confirmed probably by the time most folk are listening to this show on the podcast is that 24-year-old Honduran international Michael, with 2 L's, Chirinos.
Chirinos?
It's like, I'm going to just get a packet of Cheerios and put his face on it, and it'll be like, Chirinos. A Chirinos is a Scottish person with a bright red nose that's very happy because of the algae. But yeah, Michael Chirinos? I don't know. Help me out here. Where's Steve when you need a horrible pronunciation for a foreign player? He looks to be the guy that's coming in. He is primarily a left winger, but can also play on the right wing. 24, as I said, had time in Liga MX with Puebla, 18 caps for his country, most recently been playing with Olympia, who had loaned him to Liga MX to start with. He was at the Gold Cup and looked good.
He was with Lobos Boap as well, I believe. Or was it he was at that club for sure in Mexico, Liga MX. The Lobos Boap, I think. Boap, whatever it's called.
He's a speedy winger. He's skillful. Some of his highlights show him using one foot to knock it into his other foot to then take a shot and score. Now, that's good.
Do we see? Here's my problem with those highlighted packages.
Fall over when he tries
is that we don't see every side of the player's game.
Yeah.
But
you didn't see the other 10 attempts where he does fall over.
Yeah,
when he tries
or
to
it does that in training. But full credit to the highlight package put together.
Michael, are you getting excited about a footballer who could use both his feet?
He does seem quite exciting. It's not quite a hashtag bloody big deal, although it does seem to be in Honduras where they've been like all over this. Whether he cuts it in MLS, we don't know. But if he did well in Liga MX, yes, his side got relegated. But I mean, that side, he performed pretty well for them. If you're performing at that level, if you're performing well at the Gold Cup, you should be able to perform in MLS. Hondurans, on the whole, have done well in MLS. I think he should be quite a tasty sort of left side with him and Adnan as well, as long as one of them remembers to track back and defend. But that could be pretty tasty.
So you think he's going to be better than Davy Flores?
I can't see it being much worse.
Yeah, okay.
I cannot see him having fights and wanting to attack the coaches on the training grounds. Yeah, so I think better than Davy Flores. Where is he now? It has been announced in Honduras that the deal is a done deal, so it should get announced Monday or Tuesday by the Whitecaps. Another thing coming out tonight on Twitter, Glass City had tweeted out one of the Montreal media who were saying that in Montreal circles, the Whitecaps have apparently reignited interest in Anthony Jackson Hamel, but the sides are a bit apart on dollar value. I was stunned when I read that.
Sense a little sarcasm.
Yeah. MDS had interest in the off-season in Jackson Hamel when we were trying to find a striker. We had him, we had Kyle Lauren lined up. We ended up with Freddie. 15 goals and 71 MLS appearances for the Impact. Only 25 of those were starts, though. And if you look at the minutes that he's actually played, it works out at a goal every 185 minutes, or a goal every 2 games. 3 goals and 6 starts and 15 appearances this season. He's only started 2 of their last 8 games, but he hasn't even featured in their last 3. Whether that's because they are trying to move him and they're trying to keep him healthy, I don't know. He's 26 now, which I was quite surprised about, because I had pictured him still younger, as I do with most folk. I still think my mum's in her 40s and she's in her 70s, so always a surprise when I see her old haggard face when I go home. But it's okay, she doesn't listen to this either.
I hope not.
No, she's deaf now, she can't hear. But she's not. It's a joke. Kinda. Just dementia. So she won't even remember hearing this to begin with. Anyway, let's dig me out of this mother sheep's hole. What do you think Jackson Hamel could bring to this Whitecaps team? Do you think it would be a good addition?
Yeah, I guess he could be. Both of these signings, the Honduran Michael and
so how are we going to refer to him?
For sure.
Well,
I'm just going to L.
I don't want to butcher
to L and back.
I don't want to butcher his
Welcome
last name.
to L.
And Anthony Jackson Hamel. Anthony Jackson Hamel, the one concern I have is that when he has not maybe appreciated the directions he's been given by a manager, he hasn't always responded the best.
Well, we've not had a play like that here for a while.
Wow.
And so I would be basically his attitude. I have some concerns, some reservations about that. Now I think MDS might be able to get more out of him than Remy Gard, because I don't think their relationship is super great. From what I've heard from people in Montreal, but this is like you talk about. This is not a sizzling. No. This is not a transformational transfer.
It might be to an end of the season deal.
Alone,
I don't know, but if they are going to pay money for him, that's probably going to be longer. it might be that if he becomes a regular starter and gets this run of games down the stretch, that this brings back the him we always saw of old, because he did get some goals and he was good, but it just seemed to go from him.
Well, let me ask you from another perspective. If they were to bring him in, whether it was a loan or to buy him in this window, whatever, what does that do for Theo Bair?
Well, it pushes him down the pecking order, but he'll get minutes off the bench, you would imagine. I think it's more
for Freddie, or
Freddie as a trade, or RDS end alone.
Yep.
Yeah, which no one would be disappointed in that, other than you.
We have not caught anyone yet. We will. Aside, we won't.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I mean, if he comes in and someone else moves on, I guess that's fine. But and if he comes in and he takes time from Theo, I guess in one sense he is a Canadian, and you still be playing and developing a 26-year-old Canadian. But yeah, I'd be okay with it. Usually I'm not super excited about former Impact players, but when you have an Impact coach, a former Impact coach, and your keeper is a former Impact keeper, yeah, I mean, things are getting a little cheesy around here, I guess. Sorry, that's an old joke. I don't mean that in an offensive way.
Well, of course, one of the Quebecois that we will be seeing for a long time in Vancouver, Maxime Crepeau. Very pleased to see Max sign a contract extension to 2022 with an option till 2023. Hopefully gets a nice hefty pay increase on top of it, because he was very underpaid for what he's been producing this year.
Only like 100,000 below McMath.
Yeah. But Max Crepeau is going to be here for a while, and we're all glad to see that. A couple of weeks ago, MDS had joked after one of the games that he's known Max for years, and Max used to shout at him when he was in the stands at...
Part of UMO too.
For the Impact. So when we were talking to Max this week, I had to ask him, can he remember exactly what it was he did shout at Mark Dos Santos?
No. What did you shout at him? Well, I don't remember these days, but I remember being in the Ultras section back when they won the championship, USL championship at Saputo. I remember this. But I don't know. I was just a fan at that moment. I was more than a fan than a player.
So he can't remember. He can. He just doesn't want to. He didn't want to say, because Mark was sitting right behind him. It was maybe an unfortunate time to ask him that. But I'm very pleased to see Max here. I think he's been fantastic this season for the Whitecaps. It goes without saying. Player of the season. Yeah. I think without a doubt. And to secure him for a long-term deal, I'd asked Max this as well, which you can see the video on the Whitecaps website. It gives him some stability from a personal basis as well. He doesn't have to worry, I'm maybe going to bring in another keeper, or am I going to bounce around again? So I think that's important. You've locked him up. You've locked Ali Adnan up. When you look and you talk about the players, the Whitecaps core that you maybe want to build this team around, you're kind of talking about Adnan, you're talking about Crepeau, you're talking about Daniil Henry, Eric Godoy before the last couple of weeks. As 4 defenders on a team that's been horrific defensively and let in so many goals, and it's kind of crazy on the one hand to say this is who you want to build your core around, but it does feel a really, really good core.
Yeah, and I think the excuse for growing pains is far gone now, but it's still, still a new back 4, back 3, as you mentioned, that is growing and is kind of looking right now like the future of this team. And I guess you could kind of throw in Baum in there as well, given what MDS has said this year about him playing in years future, I should say.
I don't know how it's going to play out, but I think that back 4 is going to be hugely impacted by Jasser Kamiri coming back. And Mark Dos Santos has extremely high hopes for him. Yeah,
he was taking part in training, a little bit of scrimmages and stuff this week. First time we've kind of seen him really do that. So yeah, hopefully soon. It's not the 2 weeks that he thought. But yeah, hopefully we'll be back soon. But it's Max has been probably the good news story of this season from a Whitecaps point of view. This new contract hopefully will give him some extra money. What is he going to spend that extra money on? I was wondering Is he possibly going to spend it on chocolate digestives? You're sitting at home. You decide to have a hot beverage. Would you go for a tea, a coffee, or something else?
I would go for coffee, definitely.
And do you have a sweet tooth? Do you like biscuits, cookies?
I do. I have a sweet tooth.
What's your favourite kind of biscuit?
Kind of biscuit? I don't know, but I'm more into chocolate. Me, I'm chocolate right away.
Me too. Yeah. And do you dunk?
No, I don't.
You should. Chocolate dunking melting is delicious.
Yeah.
That's great. Thanks so much, Max.
No problem.
Thanks, pal.
Anyone fancy a chocolate digestive? Anyone fancy a chocolate digestive? Anyone fancy a chocolate digestive, even though it sounds suggestive? Anyone fancy a chocolate digestive?
Max did not fancy a chocolate digestive, but he fancied half of it. He fancied chocolate. And we were just talking there, and I said, how can you not dunk chocolate? And Zach's like, what? Dunking chocolate?
Into your tea? Or okay.
Galaxy, UK branded chocolate, which is kind of Dove over here, but it's not quite as creamy. That's perfect for dunking. It just goes all gooey and you're... Oh.
Have you ever done a Tim Tam Slam?
I haven't, but you did offer us to do it once.
You should do it on the show live.
We
can't do it in this room. We can't do it in this room.
We can't do it here because we're not allowed food or drink in the studio.
Yeah, put your chips
live
away.
Stream it.
Yeah. Well, we could do that on our new video channel.
There you
we're
go.
going to be talking about later. But we should have done that with Tim Parker. Next time Timmy's here for New York, we'll do a Tim Tam Slam with him.
Oh. Yeah, it's an Australian thing, but
we'll get an Australian to slam him on the ground. Where's Meyer Bevan when you did him? Oh no, he was a Kiwi. Oh no, he wasn't.
Andy Rose.
Yeah. He was a Kiwi. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Andy Rose. We'll get Andy Rose to
England's
slam.
Rose. There you go.
Australia's Rose now. The Ashes are on. We've all got to cheer on Australia. But that is it for part 2 of this week's AFTN Soccer Show. We're going to be back with the MLS News of the Week. That wasn't the original plan. We're going to have that in this part. But hey, we've overran. But there's no one on after us. It's okay. So we're going to be back with some Mad Hat McGower after this. And you know what that means. Swearing.
Hi guys, this is Felipe. Thanks for listening AFTN.
I remember, and I remember a time back then when I never had a pound or a bit in my pocket. I remember a time back then when life was good, I never lived in the rawness. I remember they called me the prophet, the pen on the paper, I'm jotting it honest. I remember the people I had would rip to the death, pure bumping the gossip. I remember the phone call that night, sat on the PC, I had to answer. I remember not a lot after, stood with her body and went got a banger. I remember my legs got heavy, healthy, felt like I'm pacing with an anchor. Feds all there, I was stinking of cheese and I wanted to leave pure filled with the anger. I remember meeting my people, they gave me a pup, but it's more than a dog. I remember the words that I wanted to say, but I went speechless and I froze with the hugs. I remember the days back then when I lost all faith in the whole of the planet, and I remember getting that back and I'm bouncing about like a stone bead rabbit. I remember the smell of the family room that was here when I waited in Dundee. I remember the warning I got that she might not make it, I'm sitting like fuck yous. I remember the crystal angel Davy got, I swear that's what saved her. And I remember the feelings I feel when I think about how that man is our saviour. I remember, and I remember.
Mad Hat McGower.
Oh, you stopped it.
He
I was
remembers.
enjoying that.
Yeah.
See, it's good music I've picked for.
He said you were
Right,
enjoying it.
Edinburgh
I don't think he
Rappers.
said he was enjoying it.
Oh, I thought he said. That
No, he said
was
you were
enjoying
enjoying it.
I was enjoying that.
Oh, very much so.
Mad Hat McGower remembers. That was tales of his life to date. It's been a very depressing life. That was from 2019. Just brought that out this year. So he remembers. Max Crepeau didn't remember what he shouted at MDS back in the day. Hopefully everyone will remember to subscribe to the AFTN Soccer Show on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. We're broadcasting on CITR Radio 101.9 FM. Part 3, MLS News of the Week. And what a week it has been in MLS. It truly has been the gift that has kept giving. Some fantastic stories. So we'll look at some of the bigger ones. We'll look at some of the weekend's matches as well. We've got to kick things off. Big news coming out of Seattle. Roman Torres is a pedo. Performance enhancing drugs offender, to give him the full name, PEDO. Get that hashtag trending. The Panamanian centre-back banned for 10 matches, fined 20% of his annual salary for failing a drugs test for an undisclosed PED. A lot of questions swirling around this. What was the drug? He says he hasn't even been told yet what it was. So I don't know if that means he couldn't narrow it down, but did he take it knowingly or accidentally through a supplement? He said it was possibly due to having inadvertently ingested a contaminated nutritional supplement. Burning question for me, though. If this has been him playing on performance-enhancing drugs, how fucking bad is he when he's not taking them? Because he was shocking against Portland the other week.
I think there are some people who have said, how long has he been taking them, right? Especially people in Toronto.
Well, especially me, because he apparently failed that in April. So depending...
I didn't know that.
Yeah. This drugs test was failed in April, so who knows what match it was, but it's at least 10 MLS games that he has played for the Sounders whilst being investigated for being a drugs cheat. So I think it's only fair that the Sounders are stripped of the 17 points that they earned whilst he was playing as a pedo, including giving the Caps the 3 points for the loss that we had down there, possibly even giving us more because it was that late loss that spiralled everything out of control. So he has a lot to answer for.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, I'm going to call my
Donnie
G.
Donnie G, what's up? Just tell him it's Matt McCourt.
It's like, Don, you didn't sort this. I'm going to send Mad Hat and Weird and the SOS crew down to you. It'll be fixed. We'll be top of the league in no time.
For sure.
But obviously, we don't know all the ins and outs of it yet. Although unconfirmed reports have suggested he has been caught with 2 other substances which I believe are banned in Seattle, mouthwash and deodorant. Only 4 players have failed a drugs test in MLS before this. 2 of them...
Yeah.
Oh, he was the 4th, actually. 2 of them have got Sounders connections,
yes.
and 2 of them have TFC connections. It's fantastic. One's got Whitecaps as well, but we'll kind of forget that.
Wait, well, who?
We'll come to that. The first 2 were caught in October 2008, both Red Bulls players. Goalkeeper John Conway, who moved to TFC.
And is now an analyst on One Soccer.
Oh.
Yeah.
And he's the goalkeeping coach for, I think, FC Edmonton or somebody. Anyways.
Fine lines indeed. And defender Jeff Park, who then moved to the Sounders for 3 seasons, but played with the Caps in USL in 2009.
Yeah, he was not a healthy part of that locker room.
Well, of course not. He's taken banned substances, apparently. So that's why. They both failed after taking an over-the-counter supplement from a vitamin store. Roman's excuse. Josh Williams then got suspended in 2011 as well for over-the-counter vitamin supplements. It's kind of baffling then that in all this time of MLS, 4 people's been caught and it's all for the same reason. You would think if it's going to be that common, it would be a lot more people taking it, surely. Is this maybe just the tip of the iceberg and players just maybe have been lucky they haven't got tested and then...
Yeah, I don't think they've changed anything rules-wise in regards to PEDs over the last little bit here. So either it's the occurring of the testing isn't happening, or the players are learning about what these players took or intook, obviously not on purpose, to get suspended. So there could be some sort of PDF document that discloses what over-the-counter drugs not to take or supplements. But it's, you scratch your head, Michael, why more players aren't getting suspended.
It's actually baffling, though, why this has taken so long. I know you have to do second samples and tests like that. And
it's been 3 months.
Yeah, I mean, Schmetzer was even talking about, we don't want to get into it, could be contaminated samples and all that kind of stuff. But that is a hell of a long time. And to keep having the player playing in that time as well.
Is that the normal? Do we know? Is that the normal procedure? Because that does seem
10 games seems to be the standard ban because that's what the other 3 players got.
But wouldn't you hold the player out?
Yeah,
I would have thought so. But then I guess the union might be like, well, he hasn't been found guilty yet, so.
But you're still under investigation.
Yeah. I just don't think he's been playing, and no one. Yeah, I'm being funny and farcical about getting the points back. But realistically, he didn't score in any of those games, but he's helped keep clean sheets. he has had an impact for this team.
Oh, yeah.
No one's asked this question. No one has looked at this at all. Good news, though. No Whitecaps have been found guilty of using performance-enhancing drugs.
No.
In fact, MLS didn't even bother testing them this year because they just watched the games and they thought, that's proof enough. Clearly clean. I am wondering, though, if some of them have maybe been taking performance-reducing drugs. That could be something for this year. But it does remind me of a story I heard once about a female footballer. I can't remember what country she was from. She was at one of the World Cups. She was worried that she was going to get caught for taking PEDs because it would have given her a higher level of testosterone. So she went to her doctor, explained that signs were now starting to be obvious because she was growing hair in her chest. The doctor said, how much of it is there? She's like, it goes all the way down to my balls. Trying to hold that laugh in. I thought I was going to have to put that in. The testosterone made her grow balls. Like if the Queen had balls, she'd be the king and all that kind of stuff.
Man.
Yeah.
I can see the show's
It's already
ferocity of
marked
bad
not suitable
jokes.
for
Is,
what-
yeah, it's gone downhill for sure.
Not suitable for listeners, you may even say. Let's get into another suspension. Friend of the show, well, because I like him and play him a lot, Mike Petke. He has been suspended for 6 games this time. 3 of them for future Leagues Cup matches, which is absolutely ridiculous in itself, and 3 MLS games. He's also been fined $25,000, ordered to take anger management. I really hope Charlie Sheen is the guy that is his coach. I would watch that episode for sure. He also has to take sensitivity and diversity training. Because he lost it with the referees, as we know, somebody mentioned that part of it was because he had called the referee a word that is chanted a lot by Mexican supporters after the game.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And that's, I guess, why he now has to go to diversity training and sensitivity training. As well.
Is that's reported? That's rumored?
It was reported by the Twitter account MLS Referee Stats.
Are they a reputable source?
That was then retweeted by a lot of media and stuff. So I don't know. He obviously said something pretty bad.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I don't know that. Here's my one question. So it's 3 games in the competition and 3 games in the league.
Yes. So he's served 2 already.
So here's the thing for me. Remind me if I'm wrong. When Deuce, what's Deuce face?
The notebook.
Yeah.
shred?
When he did the notebook thing. He didn't get any league games for that, right? He only got...
No, I thought he
did.
I thought he did.
No, he only got... He was like eliminated from their next 9 months or next 6 matches in the Open Cup.
I thought he got MLS ban as well. We'll check that at the break, or if you're listening... If
Not
you're
that we
listening,
don't
Juice,
believe you.
send us a tweet.
I could have sworn he was suspended.
I thought he was as well.
That was... when I saw that, I thought... It's crazy that he's getting in both.
Yeah.
Andy Rose actually brought that up in the interview with him a couple weeks ago. Quite funny that I asked him about his favorite cup matches, and he brought up Clint
Yes, I
Dempsey
remember
with
that.
the Notebook. Yeah.
Well, that would have been a memorable match. You're not going to forget
for
that
sure.
one in a hurry.
Either side.
Got an interesting tweet from Greg Petrie who says, I love athletes who unknowingly ingest a banned substance, but are also able to pinpoint exactly where and when it occurred. Yes indeed. Greg Petrie there at Our Dumb World. So that was some of the off the pitch stuff this week. One other thing just to throw in just now, there was obviously a lot of talk this week in the build up to the Seattle game today about the fallout from them having the flag last week, the iron front flag with the 3 prongs on it, and being asked to remove it, and MLS and Sounders front office getting into some stuff about that. Then apparently in the ECS march to the match today, there was some white supremacist, fascist protesters, I don't know exactly what wording that they've been using down there, who were threatening the folk in the march and apparently were waving guns and stuff, and scary, scary times down there. But Don Garber said doesn't want any political statements, but said he wouldn't outlaw a Make America Great Again hat, which is a clear political statement because it's a slogan for a campaign. So
it also happened. This is not the week that a bunch of their teams were military.
Yes, which was rather unfortunate, especially considering some of the stuff that's happened in the States this week. Yeah. I don't like that anyway. That look, it's wrong. I just don't think it's a good thing. But Yeah, the crazy world of MLS.
So
It's a good time to go to the US.
Yeah,
next
glad
week,
you
don't
two are
we?
going to Portland next week and not me.
yeah, I'm not worried about that. I'll just pray about it. So MLS said when the Dempsey thing happened that he was not banned for any of their games because it was not under their jurisdiction.
Oh.
So I guess this
Well, I guess
stupid
it
league's
is.
cup is under their
Yeah,
jurisdiction.
I guess it must be.
That's a joke. That's a joke to me.
No, it is.
That feels like a double
Yeah.
standard. MLS could have easily said,
What a shame Picky's not here to ask him.
no, but seriously, MLS
know, I'd
could,
love
with Dempsey, MLS could have said, look, you've embarrassed our league. You're getting suspended for games in our league. But instead they said, no, he's a big player. We don't want him out for games. It'll hurt attendance. It'll hurt broadcast. It'll hurt whatever. We want him in. And now with Mike Petke, I'm not defending anything he said, but now they're gonna suspend him for MLS games.
He has
in
been
this stupid
suspended
competition
though,
before.
at this time of year before, like July, August.
I think last year when he showed the pieces of paper or something like that. Yeah.
So he's used to these summer suspensions. I kind of think he's got a timeshare that he can't get out of, and this is just his way of being able to fulfill that.
Well, and the other thing is that the other thing that the one thing I would question about the Petke incident is it's hard not to take him at his word when he says there's nothing I did before I got the red card that was worthy of a red card.
The rumoured words that he used were in the tunnel and after he got sent off and stuff.
Yeah,
so
no, and he said that. He said
yeah.
everything I said after that
Yeah.
was worth a red card. But I only said it because this foolish referee sent me off for no reason.
And let he who hasn't shouted abuse at referees cast the first stone.
Why does it seem like RSL always hires the hot head coaches? They had Jeff Cassar before, who was always red in the face and always yelling at referees. I feel like he got suspended every
It's
game.
the altitude. I think it does
Probably.
something to their head.
Yeah, for sure.
Anyway, let's get to the on-field action. It's been a week. The Whitecaps started second bottom of the West, and they finished it second bottom of the West. 9 points back of the playoff places. Huge week for Irish international Owen Goal. 5 this week.
Is he going to get a call-up anytime soon, you think, Michael?
I think so. Well done, big man. That's
2
all I can
braces.
say. Yeah. I mean, transfer window's still open. The Caps could make a play for him and trade fellow Irishman allocation. Maybe get him in before the window shuts. In Western Conference action, though, the big winners were the only team below the Caps in the standings. And I say big winners just because they banged so many goals. In Colorado Rapids, they were involved in one hell of a game in Montreal Impact in the plague-ridden Commerce City.
I was going to say, considering that they're in the midst of a plague down there.
Black Death, man. It's like you can't get over that. Finished 6-3. Kai Kamara, 4 goals.
4 goals.
4 goals of the 9. Had a hand in some others as well.
How many were for his own team?
Just 3.
Owen Goal assisted on...
Yeah, he wants to be involved in everything, I think. That's Kai's way.
Yeah.
He opened the scoring. I genuinely think he forgot what way he was shooting because that was an amazing header. That was just absolutely fantastic.
Climbed above.
Perfectly headed home. That is the 6th own goal given up by the Rapids this year.
Is there a leading scorer?
Yeah.
No, Kai has
So
one of that.
Whitecaps leading scorer, yeah. We've got 3 own goals, 2 of them by Andy Rose. But, yeah, that was fantastic. But
His own goal a designated player in MLS?
Probably got some allocation money related to it anyway. But let's talk a little bit about the plague that's blighted Dick's. No one wants that to happen. Although Dick's Plague was the nickname of the top nightclub in Cowdenbeath when I used to go around in that area.
Wait, but you told me that those are dodgy people.
Girls especially, yeah. You just had to read our Cowden family cartoon and the fanzines of Away from the Numbers. Front page news that made in Scotland. Death threats I had and everything. If you can't depict a town's people and children eating sick of the pavements, rummaging around garbage bins to get rats as a treat, I don't know what the world's coming to. Folk have just got no sense of humour. Anyway, back to the Dick Plague in Colorado. Kai Kamara wasn't affected by it at all. I'm surprised he didn't actually get the blame for it because he seems to get the blame for everything else in MLS, and folk have said he has a plague in the locker room before, but I don't think this had anything to do with it. Some people were advised not to go there. elements of the car park were closed off, and you hadn't to go near the prairie dogs.
Remind us what the plague was again.
It was a horrible disease.
No. I mean,
Oh, right. Oh, I thought you had a history. In the 1300s, the ships came over from Spain.
Yeah, no.
There was rats on the ships with fleas.
Yeah. Please.
Okay.
In Colorado, it's with the prairie dogs?
It was fleas, plague-ridden fleas on prairie dogs.
So the prairie dogs were dying.
Yeah. And I think people were concerned that if they went near a prairie dog, that the fleas would jump on them and bite them or whatever. And it has been known. We actually read an article last year about plague is still quite common in areas of the US. So they closed it for that, but they said the fireworks display, that can't go on because of the plague. I genuinely don't know if it's because it was going to spook the prairie dogs to run towards people or what, but it's like, all this is going on. There's a plague, but we can't cancel the MLS game. No, nothing's going to cancel MLS. Don't worry about the people in the
stands of the players.
Yeah. It's all right. Rapids don't get many folks there anyway, so I think they thought it was fine to do that.
They're all there to see the Nacho man, Ignacio Piano, I'm sure.
Let's throw this out to the listeners. What would it take to cancel a game in MLS if not for the plague? Because I don't know what cancels it. A sodden, waterlogged pitch at Empire Stadium, that cancels a game.
Or
yes.
Or at BMO Field.
Yes.
That was a Voyageurs Cup match.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, if someone important missed a flight. I mean, not Montreal, obviously, but
they would just chat with them. I'm sure it'd be fine.
Oh, yeah.
But they won 6-3. Fantastic game. You should watch the highlights for it. Some horrible defending, some good goals. Kai's best goal was that own goal. Elsewhere in the West, mixed results for the LA teams. A Zlatan-less Galaxy, because he was suspended for yellow card accumulation. So he does get them sometimes.
Well, another brace for own goal in this game.
Yeah. Hammered 3-0, thanks to 2 own goals from one from each central defender. Atlanta moved to the top of the Eastern Conference with that.
Somehow.
Some turnaround that has been for Frank de Boer and the guys there. It's almost as if throwing money at a team gets results.
Yeah. There's some Atlanta fans who are really not happy. Did you see the comments?
There's a Twitter page dedicated to de Boer.
That is a kind of parody Twitter page calling for the walkout and stuff.
Oh, that's parody?
Yeah,
oh, okay. But did you see
He's hated de Boer from the start.
Did you see the comments from their center back, Leonardo Perez or whatever, the All-Star game?
Gonzalez Perez? No.
Oh, did you see it?
No.
Oh, he was just like, yeah, it's been a big transition, and we don't like the way we're being asked to play this year, is basically what he said. It was all over that broadcast of that game.
I didn't watch that.
Coincidentally, he wasn't playing on Saturday, so maybe it goes hand in hand.
I think de Boer came out and said such comments should not be made publicly.
Yes. Keep it in the locker room, and then after the season ends at the post-game press conference as well.
When the coach is fired, then you can say all you want.
Galaxy dropped to 5th with that defeat. Not a one-man team, the Galaxy. No one could ever accuse them of that. There could be a 4DP team soon, though, because it's not official, but Argentine international Christian Pavon is going to be joined to the squad, possibly in a $15 million deal. How you fit this in, although he is meant to be signing possibly on loan till the end of the season before the proper transfer, just giving them a way to manipulate the salary cap. It does probably spell the end, though, for Romain Alassandrini.
Romain, what's going to happen? Do you think he'll go
Well, he's
back?
injured right now.
Yeah,
so.
that's the thing that they've got, because he's injured, so they can't just even get rid of him.
Oh, all right.
So then they're going to do this dodgy deal. And no other team gets away with this. Not even NYCFC gets away with it. LA Galaxy get to do this constantly, bring in all these players, and then you see, like Ashley Cole, when the salaries came out, and you're like, yeah, England international, former Premiership star Ashley Cole is earning that. That's why he's come to LA. It's crazy stuff. Anyway, across the city, LAFC saw off New England 2-0, ending the Revs' 11-game unbeaten run. They couldn't play us in Cincinnati every week, so that's why.
Did you see that Diego Rossi goal?
Oh yeah.
Absolute beauty. Now, I like chips, as you know, because I'm Scottish. That was a delectable chip.
It was very fishy, yes.
Yes. It was a great finish. Rossi, Vela, just amazing stuff. No goals for Vela this week, though. Orlando beat Dallas 2-0. And I think Dallas, for me, are the team that's most likely probably going to drop out of the playoff spots come the end of the year. They're just not been good at all.
Just loaned Aranguiz, they're one of their playmakers, back to Chile. So Surprisingly, kind of giving up one of their playmakers there.
Maybe they've written off the season.
The one thing that I noticed as I was watching the highlights of this game was that one is that Tesho was not just that Tesho scored the winning goal and set up the second goal, but he was also wearing the armband.
Yes, he was.
Oh.
Which I was just like, oh, that's great for him.
A game that did take place in Texas, though. Houston. They lost at home again.
After a delay,
Chicago.
right? There was a delay.
I didn't watch that either, was there?
Yeah, it was delayed.
I had enough football on. I've been catching up with the English Championship that was back and lots of stuff there. Petkelis RSL beat NYCFC 3-1, so obviously they don't need to make Petke.
They did it for Petke, man.
Yeah.
Petke.
Did you see that winning goal by RSL too, by Rusnak?
Yeah.
Another cracker.
They're doing what they do every season, it feels. They have this run towards the end of the season, summer onwards, where they just pick up these points and they keep themselves in the playoff picture. It's just something the Caps have never been able to do for whatever reason.
They have the same core. They just bring in new players who get acclimated throughout the first few months of the season. Then they catch fire. I just think that's the team that they're built for and the team that they are.
Are you going to talk about the San Jose match next?
Yes. San Jose, Columbus, 1-1. Moved the Quakes at one point to the dizzy height of second.
A penalty for Eriksson, which I think Wanda was not on the pitch for. And then your favorite player Jossie Zardes, got a nice header for the equalizer.
Yeah, good old Jizzy.
Former right back. Yes, he's there it is.
He's just a rascal, Jizzy Rascal. He's just a rascal, Jizzy Rascal. If they don't sing that in Columbus, they're missing a trick there. Tonight, Johnny Russell Sporting Kansas City. He didn't start, but to me, they're always going to be Johnny Russell Sporting Kansas City. Pulled off the shock result of the weekend, even more than the Whitecaps getting a win.
Match winner, Eric E-Money Hurtado, baby.
Get in there, E-Money.
That was a good goal, too.
He only scores good goals.
I nearly tweeted this out, and I'm glad I didn't now because he scored the match winner. I watched the game up to 2-1, and I had to leave to come and do the show. When I saw that he was starting, I was going to tweet, well, that's Kansas City giving up on their season.
He likes to score against Seattle.
What a week it is in MLS when you've got Eric Hurtado, Joaquin Ardiez and Darren Mattix leading lines for teams in MLS.
What a day. What a week.
And folks say the quality's not there. MLS, man. Great league. Anyway, that is it for our MLS roundup. We will be back talking about the future of Canadian club soccer after these messages.
This is Atiba Hutchinson, and you're listening to the AFTN show.
To my destination, no satisfaction, it's all frustration. The times are changing, they're changing me. Open the cage, let free the animals, running wild with hardened criminals. No satisfaction, it's all frustration. The times are changing when you're it's a teenage warning, but nobody's listening. Truth takes the blame. 20th century.
The angelic upstarts. Teenage warning there. And I tell you where there's a lot of teenagers you'll find these days. Canadian Premier League. You're back listening to the AFTN Soccer Show on CITR Radio 101.9 FM. So, we're going to talk a little bit about Canadian club football in this section, but not Whitecaps. Zach will be pleased about that. There was no CPL games this weekend, which I found a little bit weird, especially with it being a long weekend. There is a game on Monday, but I don't know if they expected all the teams to have advanced in the Canadian Championship and this was them giving them a break or what. But there were two games on Wednesday. Pacific FC battled to a point at Valor after trailing 2-0. Fiskey got a goal for them.
Ben 10, superpowers.
Pleased to see that. Zach and myself will be going over on the 24th to watch the official opening of West Hill Stadium.
I will be zip-lining with my family, so I'm missing out.
Wait, so you're part of Steve's family?
He's zip-lining as well. I think Steve's got a secret zip-lining club, and the first rule of the zip-lining club is you've got to bore everybody about how you were on a zip-line.
So if not there for
Why did you do air quotes on zip-lining the first time? He's going, zip-lining.
So if I don't make it back for the UBC home opener the next day, Michael, I entrust you with the future of UBC.
He's going to be on the island.
Broadcasting.
Oh.
The men's game after. Well, the day after.
I hope you get back in one piece.
Thank you, Michael.
Aside, I don't. Double money. Anyway, Mike was off there, wasn't it? Yeah. And Canadian Premier League, back to that. Forge are still leading the fall season standings, tied in points with Cavalry at the top. The Calgarians have a game in hand. York, 1 behind in third. Edmonton, 2 behind in fourth. All having played a game extra than Cavalry. Have you seen anything in this fall season that makes you think it's not going to be a Cavalry Forge final?
Yeah, I don't. It's hard to disagree with that. Most people who weren't choosing their favorite ideal situation were choosing those two to be the top or the cream of the crop in the league for this year. So I think unless something drastic happens, like I don't know, like if Forge makes a deep run into the CONCACAF League, that could trip them up maybe. But I mean, as long as it's not Edmonton, I'd probably be pretty happy.
I'd like Edmonton Cavalry just get to both games potentially.
Oh yeah,
be fun to see, a nice derby game.
Probably be a week apart, wouldn't it?
Yeah. You're going to spend a week in Alberta?
Oh no, I'd fly back. Swoop Airlines do really good cheap flights. So check that. As you alluded to there, the history was made this week. Thursday afternoon, Forge FC became the first CPL side to play in the CONCACAF Champions League. First team to score in the CONCACAF Champions League. Qualifying, but still CONCACAF Champions League.
They earned that spot for sure.
The CONCACAF, I mean, to me, if you're in the CONCACAF, I know why they've done it.
It's like the UEFA Champions League.
It's like the Liga, the Europa Liga, or like the Champions League qualifying. The crazy thing about what they've done to the CONCACAF Champions League is it's no longer a league. It's just a knockout. It's just like a cup.
Yeah. And so, it's no longer for champions, if it ever was, which it wasn't.
It wasn't, but yeah.
That's something that will just set me off altogether on other things, but yeah.
So to me, if whether it's Forge or anyone else can get through the CONCACAF League and make a run or do something, that's far more meaningful than just getting knocked out in the first round of the knockout part of the Champions League.
They're in tough though. They trailed 1-0 at the half. They got 2 goals in the second half. The winning goal coming in stoppage time, taking a 2-1 lead to Antigua this coming Thursday. But it's hard to see them progressing, Gideon.
Yeah, and I think getting the late home goal maybe gave them a little bit of extra morale boost. But again, going into Nicaragua or Guatemala, I think Guatemala, to play.
Antigua?
And yeah. Where is Antigua? Welcome to the FTN show. We're
not a country. Antigua's not a country.
Anyways.
I know a guy from Antigua. I've told him that story.
That's a chant we used to do back in the Swan Guard.
Peter Byers from Montreal.
Yeah, so I think getting that late goal by Chouanier may have given them a morale boost, but you've seen MLS teams go into hostile environments and struggle, let alone a new team with young players who may not be accustomed to the environment, the pitch, and the play itself. So we'll see if they can pull it out. It'd be nice to see them pull it out, but again, Antigua could be a tough go for them.
Somewhere Devin Rowcliffe is smiling.
They shouldn't be there, Forge, anyway, because it should be Cavalry as the spring season champs.
For real.
They have been the class of the CPL this year. I mean, any team that can beat the Whitecaps clearly is a good team.
Wait, you said Tommy listens to this, right?
He does.
Yeah, Tommy and Jay Wheeldon should definitely be there. Love them both.
They should. And funnily enough, I did ask Tommy about that. Off the record in Calgary, but on the record when he was here in Vancouver. I also got a chance with him to speak about a few other things. Just how the first season in the CPL went. Was he expecting it to be so easy? Yes, that was the word I used when I asked him the question. And just the importance of not taking his foot off the gas for this second half of the season. A few other things as well. So let's hear now from CPL Coach of the Year, Tommy Wheeldon. The season that you had, the spring season, first of all, you're never going to come out and say that you walked away with it or that you were the best team. But from us watching, we can say you were the class act.
I appreciate that.
Was it easier than you expected?
No. What did we win? I think we've won 9 one-goal games.
Yeah.
And when you do that, you do it because you have this unbelievable spirit, and it's something that we've cultivated for a long time. I mean, 50% of these guys have been with me before, but still, that doesn't make a team. It's like 50% of the Whitecaps stayed, and 50% new come in. It's what you do with the new ones coming in. We clicked the upgrade button. We did the due diligence. The amount of meetings I had, in-person interviews, FaceTime. It wasn't just let's see this guy on Instat and let's sign him. It was actually a full diligent recruitment process, because for me, I'm a big believer in the right people as well as the right players. Unfortunately, we got both, and when you do that, you attach them to the vision. The vision is they're the founding forefathers of this league, of this club. We even crested them. They all got commemorative dog tags with their player signing. So, for example, Nick Ledgerwood is 0001. He's the first ever Cavalry signed player.
Oh, nice.
Sergio Camargo 0002. So once we sign player number 24, they'll get it and onwards, because we don't have history. So we created it from the get-go, and these guys want to be remembered for blazing a trail. And I think when you tell that story and make each other accountable every day, they're a phenomenal group of players to work with. And it's not what keeps you up at night, it's what gets you up out of bed in the morning, and love going into work.
We spoke about this a little bit after you did your press conference, but the winning mentality that you bring. You had it at Foothills. It's instilled. You want to win. You want the players to win. Do you feel that's maybe lacking a little bit in the game over here?
Oh, massively. You've seen me for a while now. I love winning. I really believe, and why I stayed in Canada was I saw the talent here. Like the players were more technical than I'd ever thought when I first came, and they're more athletic than we were over in England. And I thought all that was lacking really is that mental side and the tactical savvy. And for everything that I built up through my time at Foothills and now with the Cavalry is making us organised. So, when we go to tough places, if we progress onto the CONCACAF, we've got to know how to eke out wins. And I think the thing that I try to bring, along with Martin and Jordan, is those nuances. Is right? Can we run the clock down? Can we play for this? Can we, if they're playing in that formation, we switch to this one mid-game? Nuances like that. And I tell you, we do it every single day. Every single day we work on something. And this is the day before that, and you've seen how competitive, the little warm-up game there. We actually have to taper it, but something with culture, and I believe in those processes.
And I know we talked about this as well. When Forge are going to be playing in this Champions League game this month, does that just give you motivation to say to the guys, look, this should be us. Next year, this will be us? Yeah,
and I mean, listen, it was out of our hands, so we can't do anything about it. It was a Canada Soccer decision, and I think that's what the spring season was about, to bring that. But Canada Soccer, they made the ruling, we had to live by it, so all we can do is win it the good old-fashioned way. So we've won the spring, we're in the final, we want to win the fall, because I think there's a nice unprecedented ring to that, and then we want to try and win the CPL Championship. And if we do all those, then we deserve to go, and it's not a bonus year, but we wish Forge all the best. We want them to represent our league well.
The fall season then, obviously you want to win it, but is there party as well? You think this is my chance, I can actually experiment, give players minutes that maybe haven't had minutes, see if I want to keep them around, or is the focus solely on you want to win both the seasons? Yeah,
we want to win both, but I think I've set that precedent right from the get-go that in the Canadian Championship we rotated players after 3 close league games. What we're doing now, we've got 3 games in 6 days. We have to, so our hand is forced. But because we set that precedent early, we don't really miss too much. People talk about, your Marco Carducci's, Nico Pasquotti's, Dominic Zador, Nick Ledgerwood's, but Mason Trafford's. But what we've done is we've been without Mason Trafford for, I think, the first 7 or 8 games. We've been without Nick Ledgerwood prior to him returning against Halifax for 7 or 8 games prior to that. So we can adapt and overcome to players missing because we have a principle of play. Regardless of whether we play a back 3 or a back 4, we have this principle of play. So whoever's next man up, they take that spot and it's their time to play. We have to rotate. We're in one of the largest countries in the world with a very congested schedule. So I believe in that anyway, and that's my sports science speaking.
Rightly or wrongly, MLS is going to be looked at as the higher than CPL. You've got guys that you could then say definitely can go and play at the higher level. Some guys that's had the chance before. What's your message to them? Is it, look, you can stay here, win stuff, get regular starts, or you could go to an MLS team and find yourself sitting on the bench?
Yeah, I mean, I think any player would rather play. I think that's the nature of the beast. I don't think at this level, whether it's this level or MLS, they're really chasing the money. I don't think it's enough to make them retire. I mean, Dominic Zator could be a chartered accountant and he would earn more. He could earn more. Marco Carducci, same thing. They could earn more out the game. Nico Pasquotti is the same, but they love playing, they love competing, and they're in an environment to do it. For me, the way I explain it about the MLS and CPL is that's the American league that has Canadian teams in.
Yep.
This is a Canadian league like the CFL that has Canadian teams in. People look at whether Celtic and Rangers should can they play in the English Premier League. It's two different entities, but they're still showing the marketplace that it's their own league and they should be proud of it. I think what this is doing is creating opportunities for players, coaches, administrators, media, physiotherapists, the whole gambit, and I think it's wonderful for the country because always attach it to the long-term vision. 2026, when that comes around, what type of players are we going to have ready and available for John Herdman and the national team squad? And we do it by throwing them in at the deep end with the Canadian Premier League. I think it's been fantastic.
That's great. Thank you for your time. Good
Always
luck
good,
tomorrow.
Michael. Thank you very much.
Tommy Wheeldon Jr. talking about all things Cavalry FC and the CPL. I've known Tommy for a couple of years now. Always enjoyed talking to him, but he's always had this drive for success. Back in the PDL days with Foothills, they got to the championship game in 2015, just fell short. They won it in 16, and then got to the final in 2018. Years are all blurring into one now. You knew he was going to take that winning mentality into the CPL with him. And I've had chats with him over the years where he's talked about it's lacking in Canadian soccer. There's so much, and you see it even in the residency and other academies. It's about development, and even when they're young adults, 18, 19, they're still focusing on development. When you're 16, yeah, you can still develop, but you have to put a winning mentality in these players. You develop by winning. You get that culture, and I think it is seriously lacking in Canadian soccer. That young Canadian kids are coming through, and I don't know what it is. Even when the Olympics was on, and they had that whole own the podium thing, and folk were like, "Oh, that's not very Canadian. You're talking about wanting to own the podium and be the best and stuff." You need to have that mentality to get ahead in this game. I just feel it's lacking here.
Tommy has been a breath of fresh air these last couple of years. Yeah, first with Foothills and us getting to engage with him via the PDL, and now of course being I think far and away the manager of the year in the inaugural season of the Canadian Premier League.
In our chat with Marty Santos last week, he mentioned about the likes of Simon Coline and Michael Baldissimo simply not being ready for MLS right now.
Baldy made the bench.
Made the bench, but they were bare bones.
What happened to Theo?
He's got bones. Growing out of them. He's just grown that much. Play in the woods. That was an off-air joke that we did. I've got a great idea for a video segment.
No.
We'll talk about that. Yeah, we'll talk about that later on. Anyway,
pretty crappy idea, actually.
I wanted to talk to Mark more about how you get these players ready. The under-23 team is not the answer for these young guys. It's simply not, at least not right now.
Are we going to have a follow-up conversation with Dasso?
We should actually at the end of the year and just see how he felt this year has gone. I do want to get how Mark sees this team. The plan right now, according to some info that's officially come out from BC Soccer around the BC League One setup that they want to set up here, similar to what you've got in Quebec and League One Ontario. There's been other info that's leaked out from BC Soccer sources, stuff that's appeared on the Take the Piss forum, which is a great message board for the local soccer community. Ideal situation is BC Soccer want Whitecaps under 23, Highlanders, TSS Rovers, Calgary Foothills to make this jump into BC League One, to add some gravitas to existing clubs in there, and they want the other clubs to not be existing entities. and they want to be brand new. They don't want them tied to academies already or existing VMSL teams or things like that.
They are aware that Calgary is in Alberta, right?
Yes,
okay.
But Calgary needs somewhere to play. If Victoria and TSS leave USL League 2, it just makes the whole travelling thing unrealistic for Cavalry. Speaking to some sources in Edmonton as well, they're quite interested in possibly putting FC Edmonton's academy or reserve team in there. That's something that could be looked at. And yeah, it would be BC and Alberta.
So I Canada
guess. West. That's got a catchy name to it. I don't think that's been taken before. BC Soccer would like this to start in 2020, but there's been a bit of pushback. They have to get it right.
Yeah.
2021 would make a lot more sense, but BC Soccer doesn't want to get left behind and not have a representative in the Canadian Championship, like League One Ontario do, like the Quebec teams do. There's been no words of what other teams are going to make up the league, how it would affect the other summer league here, the Pacific Coastal Soccer League that's been going for decades. The murmurs are, from the Take the Piss forum, that they want a team in Surrey, Coquitlam, US, Burnaby, Richmond. They also want a team in the island, maybe 2 in the Okanagan. Now, the PCSL has teams just now in Kelowna, Kamloops and Penticton, which you would imagine would maybe join forces to have an Okanagan team. And this all sounds great. We love lower level football. We love grassroots football here at AFTN. You know, I go and cover all the VMSL games. Giddy and myself are commentators at TSS Rovers and UBC Thunderbirds. I just have serious concerns about the player pool in BC to make this a valid development league for a team like the Whitecaps. It's surely just going to dilute this player pool even further. It's not going to increase it for a couple of years.
Yeah, it's difficult to draw from players or teams that would, I guess, enlarge, so there'd be more teams, there'd be less players to choose from. That would make the teams itself weaker. There'd be players that wouldn't be ready to play at that level, that would be forced to play at that level and maybe not succeed and get a look for the Whitecaps. So there is a lot of problems, as you mentioned, but I mean, you have to credit BC Soccer to try and make something happen and speed up the player process. But again, as you mentioned, you can't rush these kind of things. It's got to take a while. If you want to have an end goal of success in World Cups and winning trophies for Canada, you have to slowly take your time. And if you're going to do it, you got to do it right and spend the time to do it.
Spot on. You have to do it right, Zach.
Yeah, I think at this point, I probably personally would see this being better in 2021. I know there's a bunch of people who are doing a lot of hard work to try and make this a reality, but they want to do it well and they want to do it right. Question for you, Michael: the only wanting new entities. So VMSL will keep going, kind of.
VMSL is a winter league anyway,
right? So
it's more going to affect the PCSL, which a lot of listeners won't even know about, the Richmond Summer League, stuff like that. So the plan, I think, is to run like April or May till about August.
So players can play in both.
College and stuff, and they can play in VMSL. Yeah. It might overlap with the provincials and stuff like that. That would be something they'd have to get around. But, I mean, it's great. The more football there is for us to watch and cover, fantastic. And obviously, Giddy and myself are available for commentary for any teams. We can be mercenaries. TSS Rovers don't need to have us. We'll go anywhere. We'll do more than one team.
After your slip earlier tonight, I don't know.
Maybe not the Okanagan. That's a long drive. I did enjoy my time in Kelowna. I'd never been there before. It was lovely.
Oh, yeah, it's very nice. So you're saying that there's not enough players to make this happen?
To make it quality, especially if you look at the Whitecaps, they're wanting to get their guys tested.
Right. Okay.
So,
I think
they might steamroller over some of these teams.
Well, I think from one perspective, like it's not. I don't think the competition the Whitecaps would be facing could be any worse. Now, because they'll be in a league, it will be
it will be competitive
in that sense.
We're always going to want to beat the Whitecaps as well.
So I think
we've seen that this year with the under-23s. But feedback from people that's watched these games on opposing sides is this is an under-23 team with no cohesion. It's just a bunch of players.
No games either.
It looks like they don't know each other. They've got games coming up this month against Calsa Sporting Club.
Sorry, what now?
Calsa Sporting Club from
yeah.
PCSL.
Yeah.
And they're going to be involved with the Clan and the Thunderbirds. If the league is delayed till 2021, it also then raises the question, what the hell happens to the under-23s next season as well? Because they have to do something more than this.
Can they play the Washington Generals?
Is that not a fake baseball team?
Basketball.
Basketball.
Nice try, though. You're close. You got the ball part right.
I was thinking of the Richard Pryor film, the Bingo Long All-Stars, Motor Kings and Travelling All-Stars. It's a great film about black baseball teams in the 20s or 30s. Really good. Really recommend that. But, yeah, back to the Whitecaps and the under-23. If you look at the USSDA as well, there was all this talk that MLS academies were going to be in a special academy league, but it's now going to be part of the USSDA. They've made like Tier 1 and Tier 2 for the academies.
Whitecaps are Tier 1.
We're Tier 1, which screws over the likes of Crossfire down in Washington.
Right.
Crossfire Premier. They've been around for years. They've reached the playoffs. They've got through into the knockout stages of the playoffs. They've produced a lot of good players. They're, because they're not an MLS team, are having to play in Tier 2, and their nearest game is like 800 miles away now, instead of playing like Seattle and the Whitecaps and all these things. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Will that
it's
make
just
them
focusing on these big teams.
Will that cause them to be removed from it? Like, remove themselves?
They might decide, look, we just can't afford this. Cost-effective wise, it's like ridiculous.
Yeah.
But it's MLS academies, we've got to just focus on them. There's way more out there.
Yeah.
That's what parents need to look at. Anyway, final thoughts on this. How optimistic or pessimistic are you for the future of the game in BC?
I think BC has to have like a League One equivalent, like an Ontario League One equivalent. I guess I'm actually encouraged from what you said in terms of it not having to be tied to the existing VMSL entities. I think that could be positive. Because those entities have already balked at this idea like years ago. And so...
Years ago when it was first mooted, though, there was some crazy regulations and financial restrictions that they were trying to put on them.
Right. But it's not like this will be like a...
Whoever gets these teams will probably lose money.
Yeah.
It's going to be like the CPL. So it's not...
Like most football leagues.
Yeah.
That aren't in North America.
Yeah.
Thanks, Zlatan. No, so they need it. Like it needs to happen, but like both of you, I hope they do all that they need to get it right.
Yeah, I think the word that sticks out to me would be intent. The intent is there. They're looking to improve the player pool and competitiveness among different levels of BC soccer and create a environment that's ready to produce players. And they're not at that level yet, obviously, at any stretch of the imagination, but They will get there, and it will take time, and it just needs to be patience right now.
So a lot to look forward to. And, of course, everyone is gearing towards the 2026 World Cup as well. We'll be back with some more football chat, though, after this.
Hi, I'm Carl Valentine. You're listening to the AFTN podcast.
chip inside her head gets switched to overload. And nobody's gonna go to school today, she's gonna make them stay at home. Daddy doesn't understand it, he always said she was good as gold. And he can see no reasons, cause there are no reasons. What reason do you need to be shown? Tell me why I don't like Mondays. Tell me why I don't like Mondays. Tell me why I don't like Mondays. I wanna shoot the whole day down.
Welcome back to the AFTN Soccer Show on CITR Radio 101.9 FM. That was the Boomtown Rats there with I Don't Like Mondays. Clearly, Bob Geldof doesn't have the AFTN Soccer Show podcast to listen to. That is why he doesn't like Mondays. That was the number one song in the UK 40 years ago this week. Its third week at number 1 after being released on July 13th, 1979. The song, and I'd scheduled this to play this week anyway, but it's actually very apt because the song was about a mass shooting in a school playground in San Diego in January 1979. 40 years on, and still these tragedies are happening. The song peaked at number 4 in Canada. Years later, Bob Geldof said he regretted writing the song as it made the shooter famous. We won't name the shooter because you shouldn't give them any publicity or anything at all. But very fitting, I thought, after the atrocities that happened in El Paso, Dayton, Ohio as well.
Dayton, yeah.
And we didn't talk about this during the MLS roundup. I wanted to keep it for this. In the game tonight between DC United and Philadelphia, Alejandro Bedoya became my favourite non-Whitecap MLS player that isn't called Johnny Russell. After he scored the opening goal, grabbed the microphone on the side of the pitch and yelled into do something about this Congress, basically get your gun laws sorted out. He'll probably get fined for it, I'm sure, but I'm also sure if he does, there'll be a Kickstarter page in no time to get money for the fine and give the rest of the money to victims of gun violence. But it's been a horrible couple of days, and I really admire Bedoya for standing up and doing that.
Yeah, and he's a very outspoken player about different things. Like he spoke to her about charters back in April, and the union came to town. Yeah, so he's a very passionate guy, and you like to see that. He's American. He's played for the national team. He knows what it's like to wear the crest in his chest, and plays very hard-nosed. He's a hard-nosed midfielder, hard tackling plan. You like to see that kind of passion. You like to see players stand up for what's right. Yeah, he probably will get fined because it is MLS, but it probably for him would be worth it because he spoke up, and to be honest, not many players in this league would do that.
No, it needs more. Yeah, not just in this league, but just everyone needs to speak up.
And it was clever to do that too. The idea to go over and make a note. It was after he celebrated with a couple of fans in the pitch side. He went to celebrate with his teammates, and then he went back to the mic. So well done on him. Bravo.
Didn't get booking for it.
Yeah,
it's like knowing MLS and referees in general. I'm surprised it didn't do that. It's just it's horrible, and obviously we're a soccer show, so we don't want to get too much into topics like this. But it's so disheartening, and you just wonder what the world's come to. You read the papers, you watch the news. It's just a stream of bad stories and horrible things after another, and it's times like this that. It's nice to have football as an escape. It's like something you can just go to and take your mind off it. But we shouldn't get complacent either, because there's going to be one of these things happen at a major sporting event. You saw it in France when everything happened in Paris that time. They were trying to get into the national team's game and into the stadium. It's prime targets, and it's just horrible to think about, but at least we've got fun things to take our mind off it. And of course, 1979 was a fun time in general, especially for the Whitecaps, winning the Soccer Bowl. Music-wise, I've said before, it's like one of my favourite years for music, and I've played some of my all-time favourite songs when we've been doing this section. Number 1 UK album this week 40 years ago was a compilation one, the best disco album in the world, having classics like Le Freak by Chic and I'm Every Woman by Chaka Khan.
Are you hiring for birthday parties for singing?
I'm available.
Okay.
If anyone wants me, I'm available for anything. Just send some money my way and I'll do whatever you want.
Anything you say?
Anything at all.
Okay.
We are family.
By Sister Sledge, that was also in that. And Rolls Royce's Love Don't Live Here Anymore.
We Are Family. I remember in my high school, we had one song every year that was the getting to class music. And one year that was it. We Are Family.
We Are Family, also, incidentally, the most popular song played at Cowdenbeath weddings. The number 1 song in Canada 40 years ago this week was Anita Ward's Ring My Bell for the second week. Number 1 album was still Supertramp's Breakfast in America. It had 4 different spells at number 1 in 1979. You guys loved that album. It is a good album. Take a look at my girlfriend, 'cause she's the only one I got. I don't know why Caitlin was talking about karaoke earlier, and she's never done karaoke. I love karaoke.
Yeah, you guys should do that.
Oh,
yeah. It's making an outing.
No, she's seen me do karaoke.
You can get a thing so you don't have to leave your house. You can do it at home.
Oh no, I do it.
Some people may prefer that, Michael. Just but I'm just throwing it out there.
We need to have an AFTN karaoke night that can be on our video channel that we're going to be coming to real soon. US, Donna Summer's Bad Girls was number 1 single and album. Movies 40 years ago this week, nothing great. Amityville Horror, always loved that as a kid. July 26th came out in some areas, August 3rd in others. American Graffiti sequel, More American Graffiti, which I don't even remember. Or
it's not as good, but you probably should watch it. I've seen it once.
Gideon is like, I have no idea.
American Graffiti.
These old people were talking.
American Graffiti is by George Lucas. But not sci-fi space.
No.
Starring American Graffiti has Harrison Ford in it.
I should watch that movie.
Yeah, the first one is better than the second.
This is when we miss Steve for his movie knowledge. These young people don't understand.
Yeah.
So Angry Birds and
wow, you're categorizing me into some games that I don't enjoy.
Angry Birds 2 is coming to the movies theater soon.
Oh dear.
That looks okay, actually. I don't
actually,
know
the first one looked quite funny.
That's what my 10-year-old said.
We have a lot alike. Me and Kirk.
Yep, both of the same father. In Whitecapsland, July 1979 ended with a... Sorry to just drop that bombshell on you. July 1979 ended with a 3-2 win in Portland, thanks to goals from Roberto Lenarduzzi, Trevor Mymark and Little Alan Ball. August started with a 1-0 home win over Minnesota Kicks. Roberto Lenarduzzi again scoring for the Whitecaps. Whatever happened to him? He's disappeared off the face of the earth.
What happened to Trevor Wymark? I missed that guy.
Didn't want to come over. August 4th, a 2-0 loss at LA. Not a lot of changes down there. Only 2 more regular season matches were left after that. The playoffs were looming, and the Whitecaps were on the verge of making history.
So that was our last entry in this whole 40-year thing, right?
Not quite.
Oh, we're going to go take it all the way.
We're taking it all the way.
Okay.
And that was 1979.
Here comes the good song. Oh, yeah. Gideon, did you know the song?
Of course I do.
Were you born? Were you born when it came out?
I was born 20 years after it, but that's okay. It's not
from 1979.
I still know the song because Michael was playing.
Wait, did you think it's from 1979?
I don't know.
You thought it was from 1979.
No.
It's still a good song nonetheless.
Smashing Pumpkins, as I thought when I met Jasmine that time. That was 1979. We're all about retro here at AFTN.
Oh boy, we'll talk off.
And we're going to be talking retro football games next in this section. And I think it's time for my big pulled off at halftime announcement. Although I've now had second thoughts about what to call it. We've teased about being pulled off at halftime for a while. Now, finally, we can reveal it all. It's going to be the name of our YouTube video channel, devoted to football games. Board games, computer games, tabletop games, and also just some kind of retro football stuff, movies, TV shows, things like that. So we're going to be doing a lot of stuff in that. On the way here, though, I thought of a possibly better name, which was Can We Play You Every Week?
Let's go with that.
So let's have a vote. People, I'll put a poll on Twitter. Do you want us to be called Pulled Off at Halftime?
No.
Or Can We Play You Every Week?
Yeah, that's a lot
If it's
better.
board games and stuff, that does make a bit more sense. We could do something else with Pulled Off at Halftime. I don't know. But I love football board games, and I don't know, Gideon, you're a young whippersnapper. Mm-hmm. Have you ever played a football board game? Have you ever seen or heard of any?
Yes, I've tried my hand at Subbuteo a couple times. I enjoyed it, but it does take a lot of the brain to play. So
yeah,
I was not a fan. I did enjoy playing it. Nothing to take away from the experience.
Takes
from
a lot of
lads.
the brain to play.
There's a lot of board games though as well, like dice throwing and various things like that. So I've been buying a few off eBay over the years. Some may call it a midlife crisis. I like to just think recapturing my childhood.
Yeah, I have this one football board game that I'll have to bring in for you to see sometime, Michael. But my favorite football-related kind of tabletop board game is the Lego football games.
Oh,
which Andrew Delbar.
I didn't know you could play games with Lego.
Oh yeah.
Well, not stuff that you could video anyway.
This show's just gone off the rails.
You know Andrew Delbar, right?
Yeah.
Surreysider.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, he does a tournament every year at the Lego convention out in Richmond. And anyway, it's a good time. I have a whole bunch of. I've been collecting them. I have a whole bunch. We need to have a tournament sometime.
Well, what we're going to do, and we'll ramp it up more in the off season, is we're going to shoot some videos. But we're also going to mention as well. We're going to look at some retro football soccer games on computer. going way back to the 80s. So there's going to be some tremendous stuff that we're going to be playing. All 8-bit and...
The oldest game I've played on a console is FIFA 10, so I'm sure you guys can go back way before then.
I've got like FIFA 94 and PlayStation 1 and stuff. So, well, we're looking forward to this. And if any listeners would like to be part of this, get in touch. We would love to have people come and play with us in the studio, or if we'll go to your house, you can play with us there. Someone that likes to play fun games is Marty Neill, and he is rebooting a classic board game from the early 80s called Brian Clough's Football Fortunes. And it was basically the first, and I still think only, game that combined a board game like Monopoly with a computer program like Football Manager. So your old things, you then inputted things into a computer and it played games. It was a simulation as well. So it was massive in the 80s. And he's bringing it back. There's a Kickstarter campaign for it. We've pledged towards it. Some other folk in Vancouver have as well after we tweeted it out, so it's good for that. So I got a chance to speak to Marty this week just about it and excite you a little bit about what he's got in store. And I think after you listen to him, you're going to want to pledge and get this game as well. So let's hear now from Marty Neill.
So we're joined now by Marty Neill, one of the guys that's the driving force behind the reboot of Football Fortunes for 2019. Thanks for joining us this evening, Marty.
Thanks for having me, Michael. Very much appreciated.
Yeah, looking forward to delving into this. Now, Football Fortunes is a game I remember from my childhood, and I remember adverts for it and seeing it in like old things like Shoot Magazine and Match Magazine and stuff like that. But when I saw you were doing the reboot, I was very excited about it. Now, obviously, a lot of people out here in Vancouver and Canada will have no idea at all what this game is. So first thing I guess to ask you is, how would you explain this game, and what was it about this game that made you decide that it should be brought back for a modern day audience?
Well, when we were kids, we were around probably 11 or 12. When a friend of ours called Brian Kirker, his mum worked in a toy store called Leisure World, so she essentially brought half of the shop home, and she would have brought home various football games, so Football Manager, for example, the Kevin Toms classic, Match Day, etc. And then she showed up one day with this big boxed computer and board game, Brian Clough's Football Fortunes, and none of us were board game guys. Really, we were more computer game guys and certainly football guys. So he brought it to my house when we were all kids. And the greatest thing about it was and still is the only football management game that you can play with other people. So with friends and family, as we're saying on the Kickstarter. So up to 6 of us could play at the same time, and it just really brought it into a social setting, but also encouraged real serious rivalry. Because you could be your favourite team, for example. So someone would always be Liverpool, someone would always be Manchester United. You could sign your favourite players, you could sign your friend's favourite player, all sorts of stuff going on. So yeah, we were very taken with it, and we would play football constantly, and then when it got too dark to play football, we would go and play Brian Clough's Football Fortunes, and so we just spent an inordinate amount of time playing this game as kids,
I was trying to describe it to some people. Is it fair to maybe kind of describe it as a cross between Football Manager and Monopoly?
Sure. Yeah, I think that's fair. Absolutely. I think that's a good broad description of it. I think it's got a little bit more depth to it than Monopoly, given the computer element as well, where you can play against computer teams. But yeah, I think that's a good way of describing it. Certainly the reviews in the 80s, so the game came out, the first version of the game came out in 1987, and there was a re-release around 1990, and then there was Football Fortunes 2, which even Giles, who made it, doesn't remember. So yeah, there was a sequel that was very kind of, not very successful and is extraordinarily rare. But yeah, I think that's a fair description, definitely.
It's such a unique game because it's combining like the computer element and the board game element, and I can't even really think of any other games that did that. It was kind of groundbreaking at the time, and it still feels that it is.
Very much so. There's been so few, even over the years, which is kind of surprising. So the original publisher of Brian Clough's Football Fortune, CDS, also did another game called Tank Attack, which was kind of pioneering in that way. So it was a board game, computer game, and there's been another one called Atmosphere, which also introduced a video later, so you would have a VHS video.
I had that.
Yeah, that was groundbreaking in its own way, you know. So, but there's been so few of those crossover games, which is kind of curious when you consider how well it lends itself to a football management game, you know, which was really the thinking behind trying to make a more modern version of Football Fortunes, you know, because the format's still unique. There's still no other game that does that crossover format. What
prompted you to decide to bring it back for the 2019 audience? Obviously, there's a lot of nostalgia. Guys our age are always... I mean, I'm bad. I'm on eBay all the time buying old games and stuff and trying to relive my childhood. But what made you think it'll work now? And what's the reaction been to it?
Well, like yourself, I bought a copy of it. I found a copy in a charity shop, I think, initially, and then I bought it on eBay. And it was really to play with mates again at Christmas type thing, you know, just have a bit of a nostalgia trip.
Yeah.
But it stuck in my head just how good the game was, you know, and I put up a Facebook page probably around the start of 2017, sorry, I was going to say 1987, 2017, and it exploded pretty quickly with interest. So there was an existing community online, there was guys that remembered the game, but everyone that came through was very, very, very excited at the idea of maybe bringing it back. So it just sort of stuck in my head, and then I was introduced by one of the guys on the group to Giles Hunter, who was the original publisher of Brian Clough's Football Fortunes, and then Giles is still great friends with David Hall, who was the creator and originator of the concept. So I went to Doncaster to meet them, to essentially just meet them really as a kind of fan of the game, but also to discuss maybe the idea of bringing a new game to the market, and they were very excited about that. So yeah, you know, it's timely. I think, you know, it's nice to reintroduce that format, that approach, and also then to make a football management game that's social once again, because there really isn't one.
Now, bringing the game to market, board games, they're going through a little bit of a resurgence in recent years anyway, but bringing it to market, what kind of problems have you had? Was there any right issues, especially maybe around using players' names, because you know how protective all these modern day footballers are of their brands?
Yes. So I started to collect, just when the idea was decided that we would do a modern version of Football Fortunes, I started to collect football board games. Now, Football Fortunes is the only one I've ever actually played still, but I collected a bunch of these things, and it looks like up until about the Sky Sports era of the Premier League, there was quite a few of these things. So you had Gary Lineker's Footballer of the Year.
Yeah.
There's a Terry Venables manager game, which just looks crazy. There's even, from a Northern Irish perspective, there's a few real curiosities. Like there's a Billy Hamilton game, which is just very curious indeed. So there was a market, and there was a game, you know, a bunch of games in that market, but it seems come up to the Sky Sports era that really stopped. That fell off a cliff. Maybe around licensing, it could have been that it was too expensive for the licensing. I think everything professionalised around football a little bit when the Sky Sports and the Premier League era came in. So where we find ourselves is interesting, because there's an argument that says that Brian Clough's Football Fortunes would actually be the first ever fantasy football game.
Yeah.
You could make that argument. I'm going to make that argument. And then when it comes to the licensing perspective, then you have fantasy football licenses, for example, that allow you to use various elements. So you can't use club names, so we won't do that without the license, you know, without the FIFA Pro license. Now, ultimately, we would pursue the FIFA Pro license if the project was a success, but it'll be sort of like Pro Evolution Soccer in the initial stages, where we'll use Merseyside Red instead of Liverpool, various other things.
Yeah.
We'll be able to edit those to whatever you like, which is a fairly standard approach. But when it comes to the player names, as long as you're not using likenesses or trademarks, then you can use it under a fantasy football license, and that's what we intend to do.
That's fantastic. And one of the exciting things for me, because once I discovered your Kickstarter campaign, I can't even remember how I stumbled across it, but it got me looking then at eBay, and I was like, oh, should I just buy the old game? Because I wanted the old players and guys that I remember from my childhood, Kenny Dalglish and Ian Rush and the big stars of what was Division 1 back in the good old days. But then you've brought out, you've hit your half 50% goal, so you kind of brought out a classic pack, so you've got the best of both worlds. You've got the modern day players and you've got these old classic players, and to me that's very exciting, and I think it's going to draw in a whole new audience, I think, to this as well, because you're going to get the young guys and you're going to get the old guys as well.
Yeah, I think so. One intense frustration for me for 32 years has been that John Aldridge was a one-star striker in the original game. So as you know, the player cards were all rated 1 to 5 in the original game. He's a one-star. Now, in 1987, John Aldridge was the top scorer in the First Division for Liverpool, but he had just signed from Oxford United. And no one on the original team actually remembers how the ratings were done. They suspect that it was just written down by people in the office, and no one thought about it too hard. So I've wanted to fix that for a long time. So John Aldridge is going to get fixed in the new rating system. But yeah, we wanted to bring a bit of the original game, or certainly more of the original game, into the new one. And the classic player pack just made sense. And once we got to halfway through in the Kickstarter, we could afford to do it, which was great. And also we want to add a bunch of players from that classic 1980 to 1989 era that weren't in the original, and very inexplicably in some cases. So, for example, Glenn Hoddle, Chris Waddle. These guys are legends of the game, and they weren't included in the original game. So we're going to include those guys as well. And also we've got a long-standing tradition now of voting for the players' ratings on our Facebook page, which is a lot of fun and causes a lot of consternation in some cases. But there'll be a new player pack that features all of the original player cards, plus I think probably around 60 new players from the 80s era as well.
So that's fantastic. How difficult has it been to bring this to market? Obviously, you've got to, I read a little bit on your Kickstarter page, you've had to kind of source out who's going to make it and the manufacturing and everything like that, and get in a timely scale. How has that been? And if the Kickstarter wasn't to reach the 20,000 that you're trying to do you have a backup plan for bringing this to market?
So the great thing in terms of the logistics of getting it made, getting it distributed, all that stuff, is that we do have Giles Hunter from the original team, who made, I think they had about 250 games in their catalogue at one time. So Giles is an old hand at all this stuff, both from a retail perspective and also from a publisher perspective. So I've been able to bounce ideas off him now. I'm bringing to the game the Kickstarter stuff and the more modern kind of software online approach, because I'm actually the founder of a software company as well. So that's my background. So we've got a good team there and a good mesh essentially in skills. So yeah, we looked around a lot. We looked at manufacturing options in China. We went to a thing called UK Games Expo in Birmingham. And met with a bunch of guys that make board games. But really we were taken with the idea of making it at home. And there's a company called Cardamundi in Ireland, based in Waterford in Ireland. And it's actually, it's competitive actually to make the game at home as well, which is what we intend to do. It's inflated the price a little bit, but we think the quality is going to be worth it. China can be a little bit of a risk in that regard. And of course we have Brexit looming, so we don't want to have shipments coming back from anywhere. So it makes a great deal of sense just to make it at home. But I think, sort of in-house we have the skill set that's required. And then yesterday we had an interesting meeting with a distributor who are very interested in trying to take the game to retail. I think that they can possibly place an order with a few prominent retailers in Ireland and a couple in the UK as well. So there's a couple of ways of getting at the market now, the Kickstarter being one. According to Kickstarter's own analysis and various other analysis, if you reach 60% before the last 10 days, your Kickstarter's almost sure to fund.
Oh.
And we're pretty much at the halfway point at the moment, and we're at 58%. So fingers crossed we can do it. You know, I think we will. It seems to be you'll get a good surge at the start, which we certainly got.
Yeah.
And then you'll get a little surge at the end, which will see it over the line. And there's certainly enough of a community there, Michael. You know, there's a lot of guys that are, really behind the project that haven't pledged to it yet.
Yeah, it seems to have really captured people's imaginations. If you were, you can't obviously give too much away, but if you were to reach the funding before the end, are there any other stretch goals that might come up? Do you have future plans, even once it's to market, of maybe upgrading the game somewhere along the way?
We did. We thought about this. So we've various plans for elite players, for example. And we're thinking about things like special abilities for players. So you can add, a free kick ability or a penalty taker ability that'll just make your team slightly better for one game. So with various things, and really the intent behind what we're doing is to get a base game released at this point. But because you've got the application, you've got the app piece of it, we can release new features into the app that provide new things in the game without having to make new components, for example, So I think at the point where we could release the first game, we get a user base, get a bunch of guys to actually play it, get that feedback, for example, then we would be looking to do version 2, certainly, and upgrades and various other things. I'm going to keep it a little quiet because there's a halftime report video that'll go out that'll tell you a little bit more about what's going to come down the line. And I don't want to preempt that, I'm afraid. Yes, it'll be on the Kickstarter on the halftime report video, which is slightly ridiculous and features wigs and false glasses and various other things. So
that's fantastic. Well, good luck with everything. I'm really looking forward to getting my hands on a copy once it all starts to ship. For people listening at home that are thinking about getting it, I highly recommend it. It's very easy to play, easy to pick up. It's the social element. You can get it for £40 plus shipping to Canada. You can also get just a plug-and-play version where you can print off the components yourself, which is nowhere near as much fun, but if costs are an issue, that would just be £8 to get that. And there's also a deluxe version that comes with player mats. So we look forward to getting it. Hopefully other people listening to this will as well. And if anyone wants to find out more, where can they find out all the details, Marty?
The best place to go is the Football Fortunes website at footballfortunes.co.uk, or direct on to Kickstarter.com and search for Football Fortunes. And we'll also ship before Christmas, Michael, so it's feasible as a Christmas present for your football-loving friend as well.
Well, we hope to do that. We're launching our own video channel of football games, so we'll be certainly playing that. And thanks for joining us today, Marty, and good luck with this. And I'm excited to see what happens down the road with it all.
Thank you so much, Michael. Much appreciated.
Man of good fortune.
Marty Neill there from the Football Fortunes Kickstarter project. Highly recommend that you have a look at the page. It's kickstarter.com. Just type in Football Fortunes and you will find it there. As of recording this show, so at 11:24 on Sunday night, they have reached over 12,500 of the £20,000 that they're trying to raise. Still got some time to go in that yet, so there's 11 days to go. Have a look at the thing. If it's something that interests you, definitely pledge. 3 people from Vancouver have pledged. Let's try and get that number up. Vancouver is the 4th most backing city of this project as well, so the guys all will be pleased to hear about that. It's a lot of fun, and as I said before there, if you're a game player, if you like board games, get in touch with us and we'll get you along to one of our recordings and we'll play some board games with you. And as Marty said there, this will ship before Christmas, so ideal Christmas present. You don't need to buy it for me though, Zach, because I've already bought it. But yeah, Football Fortunes, it's a lot of fun, and we hope to bring you a lot of fun with either pulled off at halftime or can we play every week. Whenever I like to play games or stuff at home, I always like to snack. I like to have a little bit of food, and especially a takeout. If you're doing a big game like this, which could take 45 minutes, an hour and a half, depending on exactly how long you want to play it for, it's always good to get some takeout food in. What would be your takeout food of choice, Zach?
I'm not eating the carbohydrates, so like a salad with some protein.
Oh, that's depressing.
It's tasty.
What about you, Gideon? You're slim.
I like my What's that?
You're slim.
Yes, I like my pho. I thought you said slump. I'm just trying to comprehend what that meant. I like pho. Pho is my go-to right now.
For me, you can't beat an Indian. I've tried, but Steve's wife couldn't. But no, I've always liked an Indian. Getting a little bit into Thai as well these days, but that's a whole other story. So, part of the plan for the channel as well is maybe get some Whitecaps players or UBC, SFU players, Pacific players to come in, play some games with us.
I know some Pacific players that would play.
Definitely, we'll get in touch with him. Scott Sutter will remember stuff like this from his childhood. So the only other burning question is, if we were going to have Scott Sutter playing these games, what kind of takeout food would he have? I don't know. Let's ask him to take me out.
Take me out!
You're at home, you decide that you can't be bothered cooking. What is your takeout food of choice?
Something healthy usually. Me and my wife, we like healthy stuff. But if I was to kind of go for something a bit, not unhealthy, probably sushi would be the thing. Not that it's not unhealthy, but but I do love a pizza every now and then, I'm not going to lie. But, but usually it's something, I look for something like healthy, kind of these, fresh kind of bowls like quinoa or something like that, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Went to the shop, I went to the chip shop, went to the burger shop, did it all around stop. Hey, wanna Johnny take away? Hey, woo, woo, woo. Hey, wanna Johnny take away? Hey, woo, woo, woo.
Scott Sutter there, talking about his favourite takeout food. And we were just talking during that. I need to clarify that when I was talking about beating someone, I wasn't talking about beating Steve's wife. Maybe just worded that wrongly. I was talking about beating Steve, and his wife complained about me beating Steve. Because that's her job.
Do you have like an AFTN soundbite of the year? Because I think that would have just...
Yep, that could be our start to next week's show. I'm not so sure. But anyway, you'll be glad to know, I'm glad to know, that we only have one part remaining on this week's show.
We're still going.
And we will be back with that part after this.
Hi, I'm Alfonso Davies, and you're listening to the AFTN Soccer Show.
We were at a party. The hero fell in the day. Someone reached in and grabbed it. What a rock lobster!
Hobster. Classic song there from the B-52s.
I stepped out for a bit there, so I hope I didn't miss anything inappropriate.
No, I don't think so.
Funny, it's a classic. I've never heard that one, Michael. So
you've never heard of Rock Lobster?
No.
It was an episode of South Park where they had the lobster dressed up as Osama bin Laden, and he was singing Iraq Lobster.
You wonder why you haven't heard of this song?
Well, this song was first released in 1978 when you were just a twinkle in your father Zach's eye. Actually, just to clarify that, we have, when we were playing the interview there, we did actually do a DNA test, and I can reveal, Jeremy Kyle style, Zach is not your father.
Relief in the building.
Yes.
The facial hair just put me off. If I had facial hair, then it would be a direct match.
Oh, he's got such a long beard.
Yes.
Every time I see his beard, It just makes me wonder what his pubes must be like. Oh, that's what they're like. Okay. Anyway, B-52's there with Rock Lobster. First released in 1978. It first charted in the UK 40 years ago this week. Got to number 1 in Canada in 1980. Before it got a resurgent with lots of re-releases that Gideon's never heard. An all-time classic, anyway. Maybe this next Wavelength song will become an all-time classic. August is going to be a month where we play songs about football teams. And that was a little taste of what the song's going to be. I don't like this new system they've got here. It's very confusing.
Never, ever complain about Steve
No,
ever
never.
again.
Please come back, Steve. So this is a song by Grant McIntosh, who has been involved with the techno scene in Scotland for a long time, band QFX and some other stuff. And I don't think we've actually played a techno track before in Wavelength. So this is for all our Transcendence listeners that are still with us. This is Grant McIntosh with Come On, Livingston.
Come on, let's try to send out a message. We're gonna reach for the sky. We can take that dream and make it our own. Take it step by step and bring it on home. Come on, Livingston, we're gonna go on and on and on. Together we can make it. We're gonna go on and on and on. Come on, Livingston, we're gonna go on and on and on. Together we can make it. We're gonna go on and on and on. Woo! It's gonna happen if we believe. Faith in our vision, we will achieve. Marching together, there's no holding back. Come on, let's push it forward, keeping the dream on track. Let's keep the dream on track. Ooh, yeah. Come on, Livingston, we're gonna go on and on and on. Together we can make it. We're gonna go on and on and on. Livingston, we're gonna go on and on and on. Together we can make it. We're gonna go on and on and on.
Grant McIntosh there with Come On, Livingston. Zach, you are always trancing around the world. Did you like that one?
I think you might misunderstand Trance Around the World.
No, I don't now because you explained it to me. But before, I did genuinely think you had music like that on and you were trancing like crazy. But no, it turns out you're not. So that was a fun song there. Hopefully everyone liked the upbeat tempo. Something for everyone on tonight's show.
A lot of
Maybe
hair
not
jokes.
everyone.
Yeah, a lot of hair jokes.
I don't have any. I'm just hair jealous. Heresy.
Hair envy.
Heresy. I'll be burned for a heretic. Anyway, now it's time for BC Soccer Web headlines. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do. I forgot to put the music on my stick. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do. You're listening to BC Soccer Web headlines. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do. Brought to you in partnership with do-do-do-do-do. BCSoccerWeb.com. Boo! We don't have to pay royalties now for that, so that's good. Anyway, yes, so Steve's not here this week. This is usually his part of the show. So I've got some headlines that he's put together for us, and a couple of other ones that I've sneaked in as well. You can probably work out what ones are my ones, yeah. So first of all, sin bins are coming to grassroots football from this season. Rugby-style sin bins are to be introduced at all level of grassroots football in the UK this season, allowing referees to send players off for dissent. The FA has announced the 10-minute-long dismissals will apply across dozens of leagues in 2019 and 20, including youth, veterans and disability competitions, plus the women's game. Over the past 2 years, this... I had a joke I was going to do there, and then I thought better of it. See,
Can't come back.
I'm learning. That's all you want me to do. You just want me to learn.
If you weren't laughing so hard, I might say that's an improvement.
I was just thinking if it's...
Don't say it. Please don't say it. Whatever it is.
I'll tell you after anyway. Anyway, over the past 2 years, the system has been on trial in 31 leagues. With 25 of them said to have seen an overall reduction in dissent as a result. And 84% of referees, 77% of managers and coaches, and 72% of players are in favour of it being brought in permanently. I think it's a great idea. They won't replace your standard issue yellow and red cards. You'll just get issued a yellow card and then you go. And players will be sent off for that 10-minute period. There's no plans to introduce it at the professional level. It's going to be up to Tier 5 of non-league level, so not even in the higher levels of non-league football. And the trial runs over the last 2 years have been very effective. I like it. They've got a sin bin in rugby. It works very well. I'd like to see it tried. MLS is a trial league for a lot of things. I would not be averse to seeing that trial over here.
It's if it helps referees not be inappropriately abused, then
yeah.
Mike Petke might be serving a lot of sin bins. The only thing with MLS is they'll be sponsored by something that will be like Lap Grinder, Lap Dancers Club, Sin Bins or something like that. FIFA. We always like our FIFA stories. They're accelerating plans to expand the Women's World Cup to 32 teams by the 2023, the next one. Potential hosts in South America, there's Argentina, Brazil, Bolivia and Colombia.
Are those all co-hosts? Or
who knows? I mean, we've seen a lot of Brazilians in the Women's World Cup in the past. In Asia, Japan, Australia and South Korea. New Zealand, if you fancy getting the women down under. And South Africa as well. Surely, though, I mean, concerns over the depth and quality. Who cares if you're FIFA and there's a chance to make money, though?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it feels like no one's watching the games. Like this is not. Would
no
not
one's
be helpful.
Obviously watched that Thai game.
Yeah, the Thai versus the States. Yeah, this is not. I don't think this is a good idea.
Well, the States will run out of celebrations. They surely can't come up with 34 and they're playing Papua New Guinea or whatever. It's too much too soon. The women's game has improved leaps and bounds, but I mean, you saw it was a push really for this World Cup. I don't see where the quality comes in the next 4 years.
Yeah, and the jump is so quick.
Yeah, unless they're going to let more European teams in, because there were some good European nations that didn't make it, so might be a little bit like the
But it is talking about 8 new teams.
Yeah.
It's not a couple of European teams, 8 new teams.
Scotland should qualify, it's always a plus. Another FIFA story, they're quietly considering leaving Switzerland. They say Swiss law has made it difficult to hire employees from outside Europe. Also believe there's a shortage of brown paper bags in Switzerland as well. But yeah, where will they go? Where would be a good place for Switzerland to land?
Ooh.
No, not Switzerland.
FIFA.
Switzerland, stay where it is.
Where
would be a good place for FIFA to land?
A new safe haven for them.
Mm.
They have. I can't see them leaving. I know it's probably 10 or 15 years old now, but the buildings they've built there.
It's going to be a threat to kind of relax things, I'm pretty sure. Korean fans demanding money back after Ronaldo refuses to play against the K-League All-Stars. They did not refund money when the Whitecaps only sent over their under-23 team, though, last
Disappointing.
month. So, yeah. Fans who attended the game are looking to file a lawsuit. They've got lawyers involved to get a refund of their $59 American after Ronaldo remained on the bench for the entire match. It was promised he would play 45 minutes. 65,000 were in attendance for Juventus' pre-season friendly, and he was meant to do a signing thing and something as well. You should never go just to see a player, because there's no guarantee they're going to appear. But if you're told he's going to play 45 minutes and he doesn't, they are quite right to ask for a refund.
Yeah, and this is a preseason friendly, right? This is not a competitive match.
Yep.
So I don't mind when there's people who want to go see, one player like in the preseason tour or whatever. That's understandable. And again, yeah, like you said, when they're guaranteed something and then it doesn't come through, that's got to be frustrating.
Some MLS news that we didn't cover earlier. MLS is in advanced expansion discussions with St. Louis and other markets. St. Louis, Sacramento are the two front runners for teams 28 and 29. No schedule, though, was announced as to whether either might be named or when they would be expected to join at the Board of Governors meeting on Wednesday. Charlotte are apparently the favourites of the remaining teams, but Detroit, Indianapolis, Raleigh, Phoenix, Las Vegas and San Diego are also still in the mix. If there's 3 spots and only 3 spots and those are the countries or the cities, what would be your preferred 3 from those?
Well, Sacramento.
Phoenix. I think Phoenix.
Yeah, Sacramento and Phoenix.
St. Louis apparently have really come on leaps and bounds.
Well, I don't think Las Vegas can fit the bill. I'm sorry.
Having
a hockey team there and a football team
now, though, because they're hosting this League's Cup final and stuff like that. I didn't know if that was going to be a precursor to see the interest.
Are they hosting it at their stadium in Las Vegas? I hope not.
No.
Okay,
I think it's
good.
one of the college stadiums.
Okay, because their stadium is rough looking. It's a baseball stadium, I think. Anyways, I think it's Phoenix. You said Sacramento, and either Indy. They'd have to find a stadium because they can't obviously play to the football.
But they have a coach. They got the coach. MLS experience.
What's his name again? Sorry, Martin Rennie, is that?
Yeah, good Scottish lad. Can't go wrong with a Scottish coach. We made the playoffs in his first year.
I like Martin Rennie.
Raleigh, I've been to because I was at Carolina Railhawks, and it's got a really good.
Wait, did you play for Martin Rennie?
Yeah, he played for Rosyth FC in Fife in the junior leagues.
Michael was a trainer for a day.
It was good. I was on TV that day. They needed someone to do the halftime show. I was very unprepared and did not look like... I looked more like a person that had wandered in off the homeless shelter than somebody that was prepared to do a TV interview. But it was fine. They subtitled it and everything else. But no, Raleigh's got a good base. But if Charlotte are in the mix, Raleigh's not going to be in the mix. But there's more soccer history in Raleigh. So I'd kind of like to see them get in. MLS players are preparing for a possible strike.
How long have we been talking about this?
I know. The MLS Players Association Executive Director Bob Foose, who I actually genuinely am thinking of getting in touch with and getting him on the show, because I'd like to talk more about this as we get into the off-season. They said that a work stoppage is never the goal, but the union is preparing for one if an agreement can't be reached. Players are already said to be drawing up plans for alternative training and housing options. The deal expires January 31st, 2020. Hopefully they just take it to the league and owners and really say, look, we're prepared to strike. We want what we want and you have to meet it, because they got screwed over the last time.
I think the last couple of times. Yeah. I think we've been talking about this literally since they signed the last one. You remember Jordan and Beta were the representatives, and it was not good. And they had to cave because no one could afford to do it.
Yeah.
And hopefully what the players union has been doing all along is saying, next time everyone needs to be ready. I hope they get more, just because the owners are playing a very they're playing a very, we know what they're doing. They're playing a very disturbing and disgusting game
and a lot of them are billionaires, not even millionaires. So it's like,
so they're playing this game of, hey, on the soccer ops side, we're losing money, but they don't include the sum money they're making.
I mean, it cannot fly when you're taking in these kind of expansion fees to plead poverty.
Yeah,
it's definitely a touchy topic for sure. But I mean, there's always that, part of it that you don't want to have it done too close to the season, but another thing is you want the players to stand for what's right and get what they deserve, and that'll be another thing that'll come up, I'm sure, in the discussions.
Well, Fuss laid out the union's goals for the new agreement. They include players having more say in where they live and work, as well as a fairer system in which they can compete for dollars instead of being pigeonholed into roster spots, homegrown or domestic or the top 20 and all that kind of nonsense that goes with it. The union's also pushing for more transparency, good luck with that, and accountability by giving the league's teams more freedom to construct rosters as they see fit, rather than requiring approval for MLS. There's been talk they want to get rid of like allocation money and all these kind of things. The DP tags, get rid of that. And of course, charters is the big thing that's going to be on the table again. Whitecaps got to Cincinnati when they were meant to, but their plane was delayed and they were close to missing the connection. So it's just nonsense. But it has to be mandated charters. There's no point increasing it because clubs will just not use them.
Yeah.
FIFPro warns of increasing player health dangers in a packed match schedule. At the limit, they're saying, that's their 40-page report survey, they recommend 5-day breaks between matches, which will completely screw over the MLS schedule, extra recovery time after long international flights, 2-week winter break and mandatory summer break of at least 4 weeks. They recommend exploring an annual match cap, limiting how many games one player can take part in each season. I love that idea. Managing workloads based on individuals rather than squads. Although there has been some Whitecaps players over the years, I would have maybe put their match limit at 1 or 2, but I don't think that would come into it. Collated data on 16 elite players, compared their workload over the last 12 months with medical science on health and performance capacity. The report found that some played almost 80 matches and travelled over 110 kilometres last season. Whitecaps this year I think was 56, just for their normal games, never mind anything else. It's something that it's about time that they're looking into this, especially a league like MLS. They need to work on this, and MDS talked about that in my chat with him last week.
And you're seeing now how many players are injured this time of year. There's 3 games in a week. You have, like MDS has been saying, you have not even a day to train yet. It's just videos.
It's all recovery.
It's sitting in a room. Yeah. So it's not good for the player. It's not good for the team trying to muster up some energy and form. So I definitely could vote for that.
I tweeted out this video last night. Bolivian referee uses VAR in non-VAR league. It was 5 minutes of added time was in this game. We're in the 12th minute by this point. So already 7 mysterious minutes had appeared by the referee. It was...
It's his discretion.
Yeah. Bolivian top flight game between Club Always Ready.
Love that.
They have good names in Bolivia.
And Bolivar.
Not so clever.
Yeah.
Bolivar.
After talking to the 4th official, the referee made the VAR sign and pointed to his ear and then pointed to the spot to give Car Always Ready, who are trailing 1-0 by this point, the home team, a penalty. All sounds fine. We've seen it in MLS every week. Except there isn't VAR in the Bolivian league. So I don't know whether it was the voices in his head he was hearing. But
he's schizophrenia checking
absolutely
that guy.
Unbelievable. It's just crazy.
Then they took
the referee's penalty. Also joining MLS next season.
He took the penalty. They took the penalty and scored, right?
Scored and got a point out of that.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Maybe, just like young people want to emulate their favorite players, maybe he was just, I don't know, maybe he just really likes Baltimore Toledo.
Yeah,
and he
big
just
Ismail Elfa.
Yeah, totally. And he's just...
What's that? Let's go to review. Okay, yeah, Ismail Alpha. Yeah, for sure.
People should just start doing this in normal life. If you've got the wrong change, put your finger to the ear and then do the rectangle sign. Go,
what's that?
25 cents short.
I was supposed to work 9 to 5:30. Is 10 to 6:30 okay? Okay, good. Okay, thank you.
Perfect.
Yeah. Let's check the schedule. Let's go upstairs.
I genuinely would like to see more football stuff just in everyday life. Someone trips over in the street and you go, she fell over.
This is a video right here, Michael, for...
Yeah. When we were launching the show, that was actually something I had in my mind. We're going to do some of these fun sketches.
The people in everyday situations doing the VAR thing would be hilarious.
Some barista gives you a bad cough. It's, you're so shit, it's unbelievable. Talking of shit... Football's worst team won a game. I know what you're going to say.
East 5?
No, I know what you're going to say. We talked about the Whitecaps winning Cincinnati in part 1, but it's not the Whitecaps. Fort William in the Scottish Highland League, and we've talked about them a couple of times on the show before. They broke, which is an epic winless streak. They'd gone 73 games, 840 days, 4 seasons without a win. Last year, and we talked about this at the end of last season, they finished the season on minus 7 points because they had 9 points deducted for an ineligible player.
So they only had 2
points. 2 draws. Their goal difference was minus 224.
Oof.
Wow. I believe Marty Santos has been scouting them. And a bit of an upgrade in the Whitecaps backline. But this week, they beat Nairn County 5-2 in the North of Scotland Cup. History made.
How bad is Nairn County?
They're actually usually quite good. And 2 of the goals were absolute beauties. They were thunderbolts, long-range ones. That's possibly why. But the club went crazy. They then lost their follow-up game 4-3, but they're getting better. They've targeted...
4-3?
Yeah, they've targeted 15 to 20 points this season. Part of that being because they've got a tie-in with Inverness Cally Thistle in the Scottish Championship, and they've got 9 players on loan from them. I've always had a soft spot for Fort William. When they used to play, I collected their programmes way back in the 80s when they first started. And I watched East Fife in a pre-season friendly. It's a beautiful, picturesque ground, Claggan Park. But they've had so much attention. Sky's done stuff on it. BBC did a 1-hour documentary that's on iPlayer. If you've got access to BBC iPlayer, it's called The Fort, F-O-R-T. So check that out. It's absolutely fantastic. And a fun thing just to end this segment, we've put this in, especially for Zach, didn't send this in the ones that we sent you. Hennis the Goat, Cologne's longest serving club mascot, has retired.
No.
Yes.
He was the best.
Popular club mascot Hennis, 12-year-old goat, is stepping down after an 11-year reign due to health reasons. His age-related osteoarthritis will see him see out the remaining days at the local zoo. We will not want our club mascot ever having to stand in pain in the stadium, Cologne managing director Alexander Verla told the club website. After promotion and the upcoming new season, I'm South African for some reason, it is now the perfect conclusion, and in time, Hennis the 8th will enjoy his retirement. Don't know what happened to the first 7 Henniths.
It's pretty bad, if you ask me.
Oh, that's a good one.
Thank you.
Yeah, they're called the Geisbach, the Billy Goats. I've been to the Geisbachheim, their home training ground.
Hennis is to be given an official farewell at Cologne's season opening on today, Sunday, so look for that video on YouTube. His successor will be presented in front of thousands of fans.
It's a pretty big deal.
So up the Billy Goats.
Billy Goat Gruff. That is it for our special 3-hour episode of This Still Time.
Seriously, what time is it?
It's 11:55.
Oh my goodness.
We've slightly overran.
Jeez.
It's okay, no one's on after
Thank goodness
us.
it's a holiday.
Thank goodness my wife is... Oh, I forgot it's a holiday. Thank goodness my wife is on the island. I don't have to wake her up for services when I get home. She helps edit the podcast.
Yes.
But just before we do go, what did we learn from tonight's show? Anything?
I never realized how crude Michael McCall was in telling us. I've known before, but this is...
I miss Steve a lot.
I do as well. These buttons are not easy to push. He's currently in the ICU, though, getting bandaged up for the beatings that he's been taking. But that is it for this week's show. We'll be back at 9 o'clock next week as well with another... Who knows how long that show's going to go for. But Steve will be back next week. Gideon, you're welcome at any time as well. Always happy to have a foursome. Until then, though, let everyone know where they can find you online. Oh, it helps if I switch your microphone on.
For me, it's at Zachary AM on Twitter, and I'm part of the Movement Curva Collective.
And I'm at _Gideon Hill on Twitter.
Michael McCall, you can find me on Twitter at AFTN Canada and on Instagram at AFTN Soccer. Thanks for listening. Take care. Remember to pledge your allegiance to Football Fortunes and Kickstarter. And on the Caps.
Going to your first match is an experience you never forget. The atmosphere of what's going on around the pitch looks beautiful, and you always look and go, wow, I'd love to play here one day. If you get the bug, it's going to stay with you for life.
10 minutes left. Yeah, but there's still some time. It's AFTN.